There we go. Hello, social media world. Welcome to Lake Wissota on this rainy, cold Wednesday morning, icky. And it's not just because, I'm back here on the radio, but because it's a party. Look at this. There's a party going on here. There's Greg Bach. Good morning, Greg.
Hi.
Any idea who these folks are up there? That looks kind of like Luke up there, doesn't it?
It looks like 98% of Luke Mathers.
You know what? I would take 98% of Luke Mathers over 1% of. There we go. Somebody else, and that's Parker, I believe. That's that's the new member of the family
Yes,
over
sir.
here.
How you doing, guys?
Good. Welcome. Oh, there we go. All right. Here's the fun thing, viewers, listeners. We're meeting them together. This is exactly how it should be done. None of this orientation stuff. None of this getting to know you. We just jump right in, and there's Parker, and he's hot out of the chute. Greg, I like this. I'm ready for it. As Luke slithers off.
Okay, it is like way too early for you to be this right now. I'm just
still doing the jet lag thing. Still doing the jet lag. To 6 p.m., I was done and out. Greg, on the other hand, is not. So while he gets set for the 6 a.m. radio show, which starts in 4 minutes across the Civic Media Radio Network, let me tell you what is coming up today. We will hear a little bit from Dan Schaefer, if you missed him late yesterday, talking about his new column as a Civic Media political editor and over at the Recombobulation area. We'll talk about Derrick Van Orden, the congressman who claimed he was going to be an independent voice for veterans, but is now calling for cuts to the VA. And, of course, using the same fairy tale that a lot of folks use when it comes to these budget cuts, that it's all magically going to happen to bureaucrats. Let's see. We'll talk to State Representative Christian Phelps from Eau Claire in our homeroom segment. He's on the Assembly Education Committee. We'll find out what Republicans running the Assembly Education Committee are doing over there for education in Wisconsin. Spoiler alert, not much. We'll talk to Earl Ingram about what he's working on for listeners to our civic media stations in Southeast Wisconsin, and James Kelly about what he's working on for listeners to our civic media stations in Northwest Wisconsin. We will talk to Melissa Baldoff with our climate check, and finally, we'll talk to Devin Remiker. We've got all three Democratic Party of Wisconsin candidates for chair here. Devin Remiker today, Joe Zepecki tomorrow, William Garcia on Friday. One more chance to get to meet those candidates as they run to see who will succeed Ben Wickler, who, by the way, endorsed one of those three. And we'll find out who as we talk to Devin Remiker later on in the program. All this gets started in 2.5 minutes across the Civic Media Radio Network and right here on social media. We'll see you soon.
Northwest Wisconsin on Civic Media. You're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Well, hey there, Wisconsin. Good morning. It is 6:06 on this Wednesday morning, May 21st, 2025. Another beautiful morning to have you here up north, albeit a little damp, live from Lake Wissota, from wherever you're spending your mornings, listening across the Civic Media Radio Network, or on the app, or on social media, or by podcast. We appreciate you starting your day right here. I've got a question for you. Was it not spring when I left here about 2 weeks ago for that trip? It did stay nice for a little while, didn't it? Before we got this, whatever this is. And Tony right away is commenting on YouTube. Hey, 2 days in a row with Pat. Tony. That's actually a very good point because I'm only here for a few days next week too. Anyway, it was filling up the gas tank, taking the groceries out to the car. It was like a sideways rain, cold blast, the likes of which you'd almost prefer some winter weather, but it was very much March-like out there. And I guess we're getting that for the entirety of the day again today, but we will talk to meteorologist Brittany Merlot and get her full state forecast and updates coming up in just a bit. Coming up on the program today, and now yesterday was admittedly getting back in the saddle, jet lag, talking about vacation, not really wanting to dwell too much on all the news that I missed, but we're definitely back in the swing of things here. We are starting today, tomorrow, and Friday a second round of interviews with the candidates who want to be state chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. Ben Wickler is leaving. There are three gentlemen who would like to win that post at next month's State Democratic Party convention. We will talk to Devin Remaker today, Joe Zepecki tomorrow, William Garcia on Friday. And by the way, Ben Wickler had stayed out of the race at first. He has made an endorsement. And Devin Remaker is going to be talking about that with us coming up in our 8 o'clock hour. At 7:30 in our weekly homeroom segment where we talk about public education, we're going to talk about the Assembly Education Committee with one of the Democrats on the committee, Christian Phelps, the new state representative from the Eau Claire area and formerly with the Wisconsin Public Education Network. So he knows a thing or two about education and what things like the Assembly Education Committee should be working on. And kind of aren't right now, as Christian will tell us. Melissa Baldoff will have our weekly climate check, all about the price tag of Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill. And by price tag, I mean all the savings that are going to be lost in moving toward a cleaner and greener economy. We'll talk to Melissa Kay from our station in Wisconsin Rapids, James Kelly from our station in Chippewa Falls, and Earl Ingram talking about what he's working on for stations in southeast Wisconsin. So we've got a real whip around of civic media talent today to tell you all about. And of course, you're welcome to join us throughout the show as well. Our number is 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. That's also the number where you can send us a text message and you can call or text us from the Civic Media app, or you can just get in the comment sections of Facebook or YouTube. That again would be the Up North News Facebook or YouTube pages and the Civic Media Facebook or YouTube pages, and put some comments out there. Tony puts many up there from Ashland up on YouTube, and he asks, no more cultured European Pat? I mean, Greg Bach is here, and I'm not going to say I'm not ever going to be cultured again. I didn't feel like I had my pinky up in the air while I was sipping my coffee yesterday, Mr. Bach. Did I come off as too cultured?
You came off as very pro-Europe. You were like light rail and tea times and
I'm sorry,
universal health care, you commie.
I should have explained that. I would have been all for those things long before going on this latest vacation, and still very much am. How are things in Radio Park today?
Quiet. Very quiet, Pat.
They are, aren't they? I know.
It's always quiet here. It's just me and Don Rosen. We're always just we're the workhorses who open this shop.
That's true. Well, how about if I get you some company?
Sure.
Okay.
So
well,
in the room I don't know about.
Yeah. In fact, somebody in Madison is liable to turn on a camera in what's that studio called? Is it A2?
It's A2. It's pronounced A2.
A2. It's called A2. And on the screen it says here Luke and Parker. I don't see any Luke Matters, but I do see. Oh, There's Luke peeking out,
Just
hiding.
creeping into frame.
He's hiding behind the show logo with my face on it and just kind of drifts out there like we're a little two-headed monster. But Parker is here. Parker Olson, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hey,
Wait. Hold on.
Yes, Greg.
Parker.
Yeah.
Peter Parker. Olson. Jimmy Olson. You have the most comic book name ever.
It's pretty close. I've gotten Peter Parker a lot. Yeah.
Well, let's get the question. Let's get the proper answer. Parker Olson, you say?
Yes.
Olson, Olsen.
I'm an EN.
You're an EN. Oh, I'm sorry. We've checked the answer. No, that's judges
Is that
say.
wrong?
Yeah. Oh, there. Seriously, we have an expert on this now. What's the difference, Parker, between Olson and Olson? EN and ON?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh. I thought you guys were like all in the club together and you just decided to go one way or the other on this thing.
I've met plenty of Olsons with the ON, and I think they're wrong. That's just how it is.
I always feel like Olsons with the EN are like even more Scandinavian. Like, is there something like I have a Viking boat in my backyard right now if you want to try to test my bona fides?
Not quite that bad, but definitely am Norwegian, yeah.
Yeah. Let's get the actually people going, why? What is it? Parker is joining the show here and is going to be helping engineer and produce this thing because Greg Bach, as handsome and capable as he can be, if you're familiar with the Ed Sullivan Show and the old skit of keeping all the plates spinning on the sticks, we have been asking this man to spin way too many plates on way too many sticks for way too long. And Greg, help has finally arrived. We got somebody new to play with in the sandbox here.
You know what that means? I'm just going to play every sound effect before I leave.
You're not leaving. You're still here.
I'm not going to be here this early.
Well, ever?
Oh my God. We're not doing this right now. My goodness. I feel like I'm explaining the birds and the bees to a child right now. What? What do you mean?
That's not what my memo said. But anyway, let's get the full Parker Olson story, where you're from and what brought you to Civic Media.
Yeah, yes, sir. So I'm actually from Madison, Wisconsin. I went to La Follette High School right here in the area. Then I went to UW Whitewater, just graduated on Saturday. Graduated with a degree in journalism, some electronic media stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Again, the sad trombones would come in. But I'm sure journalism degree. I'm sure it's great.
Yeah.
Hey, Parker, congratulations on
yes.
graduating.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm really excited to get going.
All right. Anything else about family history, local history, hobbies,
medical history?
Medical
history, yeah. So,
okay.
Folks,
please, no HIPAA violations. Please.
No, okay,
all
fair
right.
enough.
Parker, nice to have you here, and I'm sure that with Luke Mathers as your handsome and capable instructor, you will be mastering this board and this program in no time at all.
There you go. Thank you,
all right.
sir.
So we'll look forward to hearing more from Mr. Parker along the way. Here's Brittany's state forecast for today. The massive low pressure system heads east today, but still wraps around some dreary and damp conditions, she writes. So we're stuck with below average temperatures now. Warmer weather is on the way for the weekend. Although I'd say warmer by comparison. Let's not call it warm weather on the way. But for today, scattered drizzle and on and off rain. Temps across the state today, highs will be in the 50s statewide. Northeast winds still at 10 to 20 miles an hour. That's wind chill weather, folks. Tonight, mostly cloudy still. The lows tonight in the upper 30s up north, low 40s in the southern part of the state, and a north wind at 5 to 15 miles an hour. It's 44 degrees here in Chippewa Falls right now. We have a daily newsletter that we put together at Up North News. You can sign up for it at upnorthnewswi.com. And in today's edition, this is National Bike Week. And while today isn't a great day for a bicycle commute, there are still plenty of days in Wisconsin where it would be nice to ride to work if there were proper trails, supportive employers, bike-friendly businesses, and more. But don't worry, there is a national group that rates all of these things, and we've got a link in today's newsletter all about Wisconsin's most bike-friendly hometowns and organizations. And for those of you who'd rather stay behind the wheel, have you ever wondered how much it costs you literally to sit in traffic? You can read about the expense of traffic jams in today's edition. Also new on our website and linked in the newsletter, the Wisconsin Race Guide for 2025, all the best places to take part in everything from a walk to a fun run to a 5K, 10K, half marathon, full marathon, all that and more. Check it out on our website, upnorthnewswi.com. Click subscribe up in the top banner, and you can be part of our daily newsletter, as well as the weekend edition that I put out on Sunday mornings, where our question of the week deals with how many valid political parties, the kind that actually have a chance of winning, how many would be the right number to have in this country? Are you happy with the two-party system? Do we only need one good third-party option? Do we need a third and a fourth party, one that's kind of center left, and then the other party can be far left, and one that's center right, and the other can be farther right? Do you want more parties than that? Some that focus only on things like, the environment or on other social issues or immigration, things like that. So we're getting a nice range of answers from people everywhere from, 2 parties to 5 parties that they'd like to see out there in the country. And I mention all of it having come back from that trip in Portugal last week where they had elections. They have 10 parties. And it's very tough for the voters to give a clear mandate for any single direction out there. So we're not crazy about the two-party system all the time, but it might be possible to have too many options out there on the ballot as well. So that's our question of the week in our weekend newsletter that you can sign up for again at our website, upnorthnewswi.com. Well, break up the Brewers, their first 3-game winning streak in 2 weeks. Logan Henderson recorded 7 strikeouts for the Brewers in 5 shutout innings, and there were home runs from Bryce Durang, Sal Frelick, and Rhys Hoskins as the Brewers beat Baltimore 5-2 last night. It's, again, the Brewers' first 3-game winning streak in 2 weeks, and Baltimore is now at an 8-game losing streak, and the Brewers will go for the sweep. Coverage will begin this morning at 11:35. On stations in Richland Center, Oshkosh, Racine, Kenosha, Park Falls, and Hayward. So a little matinee baseball today, Brewers and Orioles, before the Brewers hit the road again for a weekend series in Pittsburgh. Let's see, and I understand the conference finals have begun in the NBA. And again, I'm as surprised as anybody that the Minnesota Timberwolves have made it this far, but they are in the Western Conference Finals playing the Oklahoma City Thunder. And the Oklahoma City hosted and won game 1 of that series last night, 114-88. So there's a little update on sports and on weather. And a reminder that coming up in just about 15 minutes or so, we've got Dan Schaefer on. He joins us now Tuesdays at 8:30. And then sticks around for a while, a little bit of overtime where we continue the conversation. And so we'll be playing back some of that for you coming up in just a little bit. But after the break, we're going to hear from Christina Laurie. We're going to hear from Sharita Booker, our social media manager, about some of the more popular stories that we follow. And for this week, we'll break the mold a little bit, and instead, we'll talk about posts that give you an idea of things that you can do around Wisconsin coming up this Memorial Day weekend. From the heart of America's Up North, live from Lake Wissota, thank you for making this the place to spend part of your mornings. I'm Pat Kreitlow, and this is the Civic Media Radio Network. Secret Show, The Parker Years, Chapter 1, Take 1.
Okay, 2 things. Well, actually, just one thing, really. Okay. Your plan. What's next week for? Are you gone more than just Monday?
Yes, I'm gone Friday, but I'm putting together a show on Monday that, frankly, at this point, could probably be re-racked on Friday.
Okay,
unless somebody wants to be a guest host, but I'm not going to. People have been so generous. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to.
So Monday and Friday are out.
Monday and Friday I'm out.
Okay. All right. Let me know when you show
content sandwich next week. Look, it's really good that I tuned into the secret show this morning because this is news.
Can you turn your
it is news.
camera on though? It's so creepy. It's like you're right behind me.
Nope, just get
Nope.
used to it.
He
I
likes-
like this much more better than the chat because normally
Much more better.
Yeah, much more better than the chat.
Give it up to
wait.
English.
Give it up for Tony. Tony wants to guest host.
There you go, Tony.
Yes. Okay.
Wait, is Tony serious?
I don't know. I'll let you talk to Tony about that.
All right, I'll add it to my to-do list.
I like how we're starting the Parker years of the secret show, and Luke won't even let him be on camera for this. This is great. Tony with an easy response. No.
Wow.
Not a serious offer. Okay. All right. That's fine.
Okay.
What else
Luke,
did you have for me?
Luke, do you need me do you need me for the let me try this again. God, so out of it today.
Yes.
Luke, do you need me to be a part of his show preparation for Monday, or does Pat just need to send that stuff to you and you'll rack it up?
I can probably take care of it all.
Are you sure?
From Pat and I's discussion yesterday, I think we got a pretty good idea. Right, Pat?
Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
30 seconds.
Okay.
Have fun.
Secret show. Well, I'm back, but I'm still getting my sea legs, if you will. And so thankfully, Sharita Booker is here now. Because I've been off, we haven't really been monitoring a lot of the posts as far as what's popular and whatnot. But who cares? There's a holiday weekend coming up, Memorial Day weekend. And so instead, we want to talk about some of the big events you could see around Wisconsin. Sharita, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Pat. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. It's good to be back, and it's good to be hearing about all the fun that folks can have coming up this Memorial Day weekend. And of course, I mean, virtually unlimited number of events out there, but some of them more popular than others, some of them more widely known. And let's start with Bratfest in Madison this weekend, because again, something that had a very humble start, but it is a big deal now, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's actually the world's largest Bratfest, and that'll be in Madison, May 23rd through the 25th at the Alliant Energy Center. This is a free and family-friendly festival that includes live music, a variety of activities like the Bratfest Fun Run, the Hot Dog Jog, and a Brody volleyball tournament, and a Bratfest marketplace featuring local shops and vendors. Kids can also enjoy the Kids Zone that includes inflatables and a petting zoo. And the best part is every Brought You By supports over 100 local charities with more than $2.7 million raised to date. And if you want more info about that, you can visit bratfest.com.
And by the way, when I say humble beginnings, for folks that might not know, this started in 1983 with grocery store owner Tom Metcalf and his wife Margaret. It was literally a brat fry with a table, 3 chairs, and a Weber grill. The brats were sold for 50 cents. And then it just continued to grow as he donated the proceeds, like you said, to organizations. And this thing has just, it's insane how big it's gotten, but in a very popular, very positive way around the area.
Definitely. And that supports local charities. That's the best part. Stay in the community.
And the same can be said for the next event we're going to talk about, the Chippewa Valley Century Ride. This is for, and I say this with love, folks, this is for weirdos like Kristen Lyerly, who loves to talk about how she'll just, on some random Saturday bike 100 miles. So if you want to bike 100 miles, you can, but there thankfully are shorter courses for the rest of us mere mortals, Sharita.
The 39th annual Chippewa Valley Century Ride is rolling through Chippewa Falls on Sunday, May 25th, and you can choose from 35 to 100-mile routes that take you through farms, forests, and rolling hills. The ride starts and ends at the Northern Wisconsin State Fairgrounds with rest stops and support vehicles along the way, just in case. And after the ride, they'll have another bratwurst feast with soda and beer. Registration is $65 through May 23rd and $75 on site. All proceeds for that event will go to local charities, parks, and youth programs. And if you want more details or you want to register, visit cvcride.org.
cvcride.org for that. And yeah, I mean, there's great trails here. I'm right off the old Abe Trail. Has a bridge going over the Chippewa River here at Lake Wissota. You can ride up to Jim Falls and Cornell, and from here you can go all the way down to Eau Claire and well beyond Eau Claire. So a lot of folks love to do their biking around here, but this is a great thing for an organized ride. Again, if you don't want to do the 100 miles, there's 35 miles, 50 miles, 75 miles, and beautiful routes all the way around. So now we'll head to your neck of the woods for Veterans Park in the Milwaukee area. And the IKEA Family Kite Festival is part of Gift of Wings. Tell me more about that.
Yep, it's their 38th annual Gift of Wings Family Kite Festival, and that'll be held Saturday and Sunday, March 24th and 25th. The grand launch kicks off at noon both days. At noon both days, where over 100 or 600 kites will fill the sky. There will be performances by world-renowned kite teams, including the fabulous Windjammers from Detroit and the Chicago Fire Kite Team. Kids can participate in the Mad Dash, where the first 100 children receive a free kite to launch together. And if you want more details about that event, visit giftofwings.com.
You've been to this event previously?
Yep, I've taken my kids twice now, and it's right on the lakefront, so it's super windy, perfect place for a kite, not a lot of trees, and it's super fun. And you see all like the big kites, the different kites, like it's a blast.
Okay, but as a spectator only, or did you bring did you or the kids bring kites along too?
My kids brought kites.
Okay, you know where I'm going with this is how is your kite flying ability?
Not too shabby. Like I'm not a
Okay.
bad kite flyer. Like I think I've done it enough in my childhood that I'm pretty good.
Okay, well, good. That's what I wanted to hear here. You think you might go this time around too, or do you have other Memorial Day weekend plans?
I'm probably going to go. I already sent the link to my partner because I'm like, let's do it again.
All right, that sounds great. And guess what? If at that event, like the other two, you can get brats. So I
Right.
think we all understand what's on the menu for this coming holiday weekend. Sharita Booker, thanks so much. Good to talk to you. We'll see you later.
Bye, Pat.
I have to say that my own kite flying is definitely in the Charlie Brown category with the infamous kite eating tree that he had in the comic strips. I don't have nearly the experience with, but you being down by Kenosha again, by the lakeshore there, it's got to be a fantastic place to fly kites.
I have to assume that my kite flying skills are as much as I stand next to a person flying a kite and say to them, "You're doing a great job. Keep going. Don't let anything stop you."
I don't get on the field at Lambeau. I'm still a fan.
There you
still
go.
right there
See?
saying there you go.
There you go.
Speaking of fans, how would you like to see some free tickets to see the Milwaukee Brewers at American Family Field? Just be a listening to your favorite civic media shows, maybe like this one, on Fridays throughout the baseball season. Listen for keywords throughout the day, and then text in the keyword for a chance to win a 4-pack of Brewers tickets, club level seats. These are wonderful seats. You are going to want to win these tickets. Complete contest rules can be found over on the Civic Media website. That, of course, is civicmedia.us. There's a lot still ahead coming up on this Wednesday morning. We will be talking a little bit with Dan Schaefer, and then afterwards we'll talk about how Congressman Derrick Van Orden had claimed to be an independent voice for veterans and would position himself standing up against budget cuts that would hurt veterans. But after stiff-arming constituents and refusing to hold town halls, the only voice he seems to be hearing is the guy in the White House who wants massive cuts to the VA. We'll talk much more about that coming up here, live from Lake Wissota on the Civic Media Radio Network. How's Maybell? Has she settled down since the incident?
Oh my gosh, yeah. There's not been another incident since, and she's been good. And I've been making it a point to take her to the park at least 2, if not 3 times a week.
Okay.
So, and got all the stuff needed to replace the pillows. So,
Oh, good.
So it will be all. It was funny though, because they said, "All right, your order's all set. It'll be there in 2 to 4 weeks." I'm like, 2 to 4 weeks? What is this, 1989? Is there also no COD?
Parker, are you still there?
Parker.
I think he and Luke are really taking this training thing seriously.
Apparently.
Okay. All right. Well, I was going to ask if he was a dog person, cat person, whatever.
What do you need the sad horns for? Do you still need that, or
when he got the spelling of his name wrong? That was perfect.
Oh, okay. All right.
See, I could have tipped you off there, but then I would have tipped him off too. So
gotcha.
But you took that. You took it like a pro. You took that cue, man.
Well, I'm a professional.
Okay. So me live, then the Dan tape, and then me again, and that's what we'll probably. I don't remember how much wiggle room I gave myself here. How long is that tape again?
The tape is like 5 minutes. It's
good.
It's 6 minutes on the dot.
Then we will be doing both of those tapes, the D-Eau one and the Chris Taylor one, afterward.
So all 3 of those in one segment?
All 3 of those in one segment, and then I may bring them back again after 7 o'clock. We'll see.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. This has been the Parkerless Secret Show. Parker years.
Yeah, right. I mean, Parker and Luke, where are you at, friends?
Wait a minute. Tony's got it. He better understands the Secret Show is the key.
Don't give us that look. We named the Secret Show after him. We expect. Oh, you know what? Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
Fine.
Fine. Yeah.
Fine. You get hot butter popcorn.
No.
Yeah, you do. Let it ring through your ears. Haunt your nightmares.
Great job, Parker. Write yourself up for this one.
Bing, bing, bong, 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 bong.
Secret Show. .35. Welcome back on this Wednesday morning, May 21st, live from Lake Wissota. I'm Pat Kreitlow here on the Civic Media Radio Network. As you know, when the show was expanded to 3 hours a couple of weeks back, that gave us the opportunity to add some more regular guests. Some you'll still hear at 6:30, some at 7:30, now some at 8:30. and a few at 8:30. We sometimes go a little long and tape a little bit extra and are able to share it with you at 6:30 the next morning. That is the case with Dan Schaefer, the political editor at Civic Media, and of course the creator of the Recombobulation Area, which is now, what is it, a 19-time Milwaukee Press Club award-winning news site. And along with all of his other work, Dan continues to write columns for his area and for Civic Media, the most recent of which is a new column about the state legislators to keep an eye on for the rest of this session in lieu of what are going to be some big elections next year. I know every election's big. These are going to be big elections next year. Could flip control of the state legislature. So I asked Dan a little bit more about the focus of this new column.
We have a real chance at accountability now that we have new maps. And so these are the legislators in the most closely contested districts. These are the ones that are most vulnerable to having the voters boot them out of office next year. We all know that we're going to be paying attention to, folks like Robin Voss and the Assembly Speaker, Devin LeMahieu, the Majority Leader in the Senate, and, certain other legislative leaders who are, key on certain committees. But I think as we look ahead to 2026, which I guess we are doing just to a certain extent today with some of these announcements with Chris Taylor, with Randy Bryce, also, just kind of an eye on 2026, because especially for the state Senate, there are only half of the state Senate has been on the ballot under new maps. And so there are 3 Republican state senators serving in districts that were won by Kamala Harris last year. Howard Markline, Rob Hutton, and Van Wangard. So those 3, if Democrats were to win those 3 districts, and again, those are districts won by Kamala Harris just last fall, then they would be able to flip the state Senate. And that would really change a whole lot about our politics. So I think it is important for us to watch what's happening with those 3 senators in particular, but also, the rest of the list here of the 23. I've got both Democrats and Republicans on here that are in closely competitive districts. And particularly on the Democratic side, as I look through, the Assembly representatives who won some of these closer races last year, a lot of them are in their first term, right? You don't know exactly how things are going to play out in a legislator's first term. So I think, for those who maybe I was on the edge of including in the list, if it was their first term, I put them on the list because you never know what type of approach somebody might bring to the office. And so I think this is just a reminder to people that we have an avenue for accountability. If a lot of people were really upset about the Republican controlled state legislatures, Joint Finance Committee voting 600 plus items out of Tony Evers' budget on critical things like childcare and healthcare, education, up and down the list. And so I think a lot of people are upset about that and wondering what they can do to hold certain legislators accountable. Well, I think, this is the first, or, the list of legislators who are in those most closely competitive districts who will have to defend the votes that they make now and in the next 2 months in the budget. And as, so many different bills make their way through the legislature, and to keep an eye on what's going to happen in the years ahead, because we as the voters can bring actual accountability in ways we could not when we were stuck under the gerrymander.
Well, you've got rookies and veterans over here in the Chippewa Valley, for example. You have Jody Emerson, who's a Democrat from Eau Claire, but her district is no longer just the city of Eau Claire, so it's not as safe as it used to be. You have Christian Phelps from Eau Claire, a brand new Democrat who could be a real up-and-comer, but only if he can defend his seat in 2026. And then you have State Senator Jeff Smith, who has a lot of experience in the Capitol, but in a district that is notoriously purple, and where I feel like he's really mastered, and I know he's a friend of mine as I say this, but he's really mastered the retail politics of it. But it's a district that still very much could go depending on, external factors out of Jeff Smith's control. So just in that one area alone, you can see how competitive districts have made it by, as we've always been saying, not a lock that Democrats get an advantage, but more so than under gerrymandered maps.
Yeah, and Smith is a really interesting case too. He won re-election in 2022, and in 2024, Kamala Harris won the won the seat, but only by 2 points, right? So this is a close, if voters don't like what the Democrats are doing in the process, here's an opportunity for accountability there as well. And so, and I think just the list more broadly really highlights a lot of what are so often the swing areas of the state. You have, your neck of the woods in Chippewa Valley and the Eau Claire area is always going to be part of that. Western Wisconsin, there are many districts in Western Wisconsin on this list. La Crosse area, Fox Valley always emerges as a really important swing region. The Milwaukee area suburbs, there are a number of districts there. Again, I mentioned, Rob Hutton before. I think his might be the most interesting for next year on the map because, this is a seat that Kamala Harris won by 6 points in the western suburbs in a rapidly shifting part of the area. And I've noticed that Hutton has posted a couple photos on his social media feeds with Tony Evers. So, would that be happening if he was in a deep red safe district? I don't know.
No chance. Very quickly, state Republicans had their convention, including the WisPolitics straw poll. What did you glean from that?
Fascinating straw poll. I thought, the fact that Josh Schoeman and Tom Tiffany were the kind of the top 2 vote getters on there. Boy, that is not a deep bench for the Republicans. We actually had a piece on Josh Schoeman at the recombobulation area that we published yesterday from a guest contributor named Jordan Morales, taking a look at some of his record in 2022, not being able to get a police funding referendum passed in one of the reddest counties in Wisconsin. And now Josh Schoeman on that record is trying to run for governor.
There he is, Dan Schaefer, giving us his latest on whether the Washington County executive can run on that record, or will he face somebody like Congressman Tom Tiffany instead in a Republican primary for governor next year. And of course, the big question as well is, what about Governor Tony Evers? Is he going to run for a third term or not? So again, you can follow Dan at the recombobulation area and, of course, all across the Civic Media Radio Network and at civicmedia.us. All right, one of the stories that happened while I was away and just wasn't sure I wanted to get into things right away, so that's why we're talking about it today, deals with the congressman from Western Wisconsin, Derrick Van Orden, a former Navy SEAL. The guy who said he was going to be an independent voice. You hear that all the time. I'm going to be an independent voice. And he was going to be it for veterans and stand up against budget cuts. We have heard him quite literally yelling, almost screaming at people that the cuts that are being planned for the VA, the cuts that are being planned for SNAP, nutritional assistance, that these things aren't going to hurt real people, that it's only going to be cutting the waste. It just seems that after stiff-arming constituents and refusing to hold town halls, the only voice he's listening to is the guy in the White House, the one that wants to make massive cuts to the VA. So it wasn't a big surprise to hear Van Orden trot out the bureaucracy boogeyman in his latest promise that the VA cuts would be all about bureaucrats and not the quality of veterans' health care. Here's a quick clip of Derrick Van Orden. He was talking at the time to Veterans Affairs Secretary Doug Collins, a former Republican congressman from Georgia and himself a U.S. Air Force veteran. What you're going to hear Van Orden talking about is a hand-drawn graph that he made that purports to show that the number of doctors has stayed steady. The number of bureaucrats has gone up. Again, this is a hand-drawn graph with his assertion of what's happening at the VA. Let's give a listen.
That's the whole VA. This is the problem with the VA. Okay? This is the increase in bureaucrats. These are the doctors. It's almost a flat line. And then we have an increase with the veterans because of the PAC Act, right? So when we are going to cut the VA, and I hope you do, sir, this is where you need to make the cut, right there in this line, right there, sir. If Mr. Secretary, if you cut this, then this line with the doctors and stuff, the people that are actually touching our veterans and providing care can go like this, right? And then we can match the increase with vets. So, Mr. Secretary, I'm incredibly happy and looking forward to working with you and your administration.
When you cut the VA, and I hope you do, Derrick Van Orden's words that you are going to hear on a loop, and he is going to lose his mind every time and say, that's not what I meant. that it was always about cutting the bureaucracy. The so-called bureaucracy we've been hearing all about since Elon Musk and Donald Trump showed up in D.C. in terms of just how radical this would be and how many people would be hurt when they say they're hurting bureaucrats. They're hurting people who may not have MD after their name, but very much play a role in making sure that the VA runs smoothly, that there is efficiency there, that veterans are seen in a timely manner there. You can't simply cut all of the support staff in something and expect that it will still run normally. Because what you're doing then is, and I'm taking a big leap here in hyperbole, but understand where I'm going here. We're not asking doctors to start scrubbing the toilets as well. Okay. And when you think, well, I'm cutting this one janitorial position and I'm cutting this one assistant director position. Those positions were there for a reason, and they weren't there just because, George needs a job. So we're going to create a position and then every VA hospital is going to have it. Government runs best with people who are engaged in the notion of public service. Government should be the people you should trust least are the people who hate government the most, who say, oh, it's all about waste, fraud, abuse, and bureaucrats, because they can never seem to produce it. Remember, Elon Musk's Doge thing was all about finding the waste, fraud, and abuse. Waste, fraud, and abuse can be against the law in this country, and yet I haven't seen anybody brought up on charges yet. Have you? Because that would be where you would prove the waste, where you would prove the fraud, where you would prove the abuse. And it seems to be lacking, which is why you see this kind of misdirection from somebody like Derrick Van Orden. Oh, by the way, speaking of misdirection, here's another way not to focus on Derrick Van Orden wanting to cut the VA and to cut veterans' health care, is to say ridiculous things like, let's get rid of the spring elections. That's something that Derrick Van Orden called for. It would require an amendment to the state constitution, but when he was asked recently about why Republicans didn't do well in the most recent spring elections, he said, Republicans don't vote, period. We just don't vote in spring elections, Van Orden said. According to a Wisconsin Public Radio story, I think they should get rid of that, he said, and fold it into a midterm or a 4-year cycle. There is exhaustion from the previous election, and it's just not functional. Well, Congressman, the reason we have it like that is that we have some positions that, believe it or not, are still supposed to be nonpartisan. And the nonpartisan elections are held in the spring, so that there's this clear delineation. And if anybody has messed up that line, might be you and your folks, but the answer is not getting rid of elections. Today's history lesson is next, as we always do, mornings across the Civic Media Radio Network, live from Lake Wissota. I'm Pat Kreitlow. And there's Melissa.
Oh my gosh, it's Melissa K in the morning on WFHR.
And WIRI.
Hey.
You can always write my theme
Watch
music, Greg.
your place, host. My job's to
Whoa.
sing.
Whoa.
Whoa.
You've been putting your
I have a
place
second
back.
place.
Yeah.
I have a second. Don't look at me like that, Luke. I have a second place. I have a piece of paper that says I'm in second
Hi,
place. All right.
Luke.
No, he does that.
Oh, no,
he,
no.
He
Luke,
comes on camera.
Luke doesn't want to be a participant today.
And Parker. Hello,
Yeah.
Parker.
No, it's all on demand in their case. So
I say you boot him from the stream, Pat.
I was
Teach
this
him a
close. I
lesson.
was this
Got
close
that
when
power?
I saw that line of his. Like, you don't have to put us up.
Lay down the Kreitlow.
Great law. Ooh, I like that.
Thank you.
It just sounds like one of the many mispronunciations. Hey, Kreitlow, get over here. Oh boy. Let's see.
Wait, hold on. I'll make it even better. Here,
Oh
hold on.
yes. Wait a minute. Shiju has a request.
Yeah,
Look at it. She's giggling even before.
there we
that.
go. There it is.
He really does it.
There it is. Kreitlow. Wait, come on, play. There we go. Kreitlow. No, say Kreitlow, and then you play the sound. And yeah, it's only 2 seconds. It's a really hard video to control.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Greg, you have to play. Oh,
No, he does it for real.
Secret show.
Oh,
You
no.
didn't
It turns
speak
out.
into the microphone now. The illusion is shattered, Greg.
Secret show.
There you go.
There it is.
the illusion's back.
Yep.
Like a
That's all
round
it
earth.
takes. That's all it takes. I am that gullible.
All right. So what's up with you guys?
So I just had one of those moments where I was like, wait a minute, I didn't see if this guy was still alive or dead. So
Oh.
Who?
Oh, you should check on that.
it was Ron Isley. And
He's
and
dead,
Leo
right?
Sayer. No, he's not. That's,
Oh, he's not.
Okay.
He's not
I
dead.
don't
but
know.
I also didn't fix the math.
I don't know who
here.
he is, but he's not dead.
He's one of the Isley brothers.
That doesn't help me.
You know, well, listen to the first song, okay?
Okay. I enjoyed your pictures, Pat. Portugal
Thank
looked
you.
amazing.
Oh, it was so nice.
Someday.
Yeah. Olivia Rodrigo, are you familiar with her much, or with
Yes.
her, at least the first
Sounds familiar.
big hit, Driver's License?
Yes.
Okay.
This is also the Isley brothers. Which you'd also know from Ice Cube because they sampled it, and it's a great song.
Okay.
All
I
right.
trust you.
All right, we have 20 seconds.
Well, you know you make me wanna shout, kick my heels up and shout, throw my hands up and shout, throw my head back and shout, come on now.
Welcome to today's history lesson for this May 21st, 2025, where we are joined, as always, by Melissa Kay from 97.5 WFHR and 105.5 WIRI in Wisconsin Rapids. How is Melissa today?
I am excellent. How are you?
Great. You've all recovered from the wonderful play that you were working on, directing, and
Yeah. Oh, it was so much fun.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm so proud of my cast and crew. They did awesome.
Do you have a next project in mind already?
I'm getting a pigeon.
What? Wait a minute. I'm sorry.
Again, if
Did
I
you just-
had like unlimited sound effects in front of me, this one would have been like the brakes being slammed on or the needle being dragged across the record, and say, "What
I'm getting a pigeon a play that you're directing?
is it like? Don't let the
No.
pigeon drive the bus? Is it like
Yeah.
a play on that?
I'm going to buy a dog kennel to keep it in, and I'm going to build some stuff because I just got a skill saw, and I'm going to beat up my maintenance guy to put in electric in my shed, so I don't have to run an extension cord out my window and over there.
I really feel like I should apologize to the listeners that you're going to have to look online for today's history lesson because I really want to explore this more.
Do you know how many awards pigeons won during World War II?
200.
32.
Oh, I was way off.
She's you online. Yes, Pigeon Mama for the win.
Woohoo! Yeah,
My
yeah,
God.
yeah.
Apparently you are not
Pigeons are
alone here.
awesome. They actually make really great pets. I'm excited.
I am befuddled. This is really, I did not see this coming at all. Not it.
You
Your
asked. I
your
told you.
excitement
It's
is
true.
palpable.
She's right. You did ask.
I know, and I'm loving it. This is great. Ronald Isley is 84 years old today from the Isley Brothers. The American Red Cross was established by Clara Barton on this day in 1881. Happy birthday to singer Leo Sayer. He is 77 years old today. Could it scream 70s any more than this? The pre-disco 70s?
Sorry, your lapels are poking me in the shoulder right now.
Leo Sayer gave us You Make Me Feel Like Dancing, Long Tall Glasses, When I Need You, More Than I Can Say. He also wrote The Show Must Go On, which was covered by Three Dog Night. Happy birthday to Bill Champlin, who is 78 years old today, former member of Chicago.
Slow skate, everyone.
Oh, my goodness.
Slow skate.
If you ever wanted a musical transition from 70s to 80s, that was it right there.
This keyboard sound is every 80s show.
Yes. Let's see. Former Senator Al Franken is 74 years old today. Mr. T is 73 years old today. Go ahead and give it to us, Melissa. Give us the line.
I don't know it.
Mr. T?
I pity the foo.
I
Oh,
pity the fool.
yeah. I pity the fool.
There it is.
Okay,
Thank
that was
you.
good. Yeah. Dorsey Levens, former Packers running back and the leading rusher from Super Bowl 31. He is 55 years old today. Brooklyn's Christopher George Wallace, a.k.a. Biggie Smalls, or the Notorious B.I.G. He was born this day in 1972, was murdered in March of 1997. On this day in 1983, I've actually got two notes here from this day in 1983. ZZ Top released a video for this song. And I'll just tell you now, rather than waiting for the singing, because I know you're imagining it if you know anything about ZZ Top videos. This video, for Give Me All Your Lovin', marked the first appearance of the Eliminator, Billy Gibbons' 1933 Ford Hot Rod, that would appear in multiple other ZZ Top videos and become associated with the band.
ZZ Top's so good.
Yes. It's just
Every record, even their 80s stuff, people can be like, oh, 80s bands are terrible when they were in the 70s and like they get like more processed and whatnot, but they just stayed a great rock and roll band.
Mm-hmm. That was this day in 1983, and the number one song that day was by David Bowie.
Oh my God. Okay. Wow. Okay. We're just.
We're not pausing on ZZ Top.
That, of course, would be Let's Dance, which hit number one on this date 42 years ago.
Oh, God. Oh.
Wow.
I know. On this day 43 years ago, on this day in 1992, after 30 seasons, Johnny Carson hosted his second to last episode, and the last one featuring guests. The guests were Robin Williams and Bette Midler. The one where Bette Midler infamously sang "One for My Baby" and "One for the Road." You remember watching? I'm sure you watched and thought, "Is this really it?" After all these years, no more Johnny Carson on late night TV. It was a big deal.
I think it was like the first, because I was really too young for the last episode of MASH.
Yeah.
And I think it was like really the first thing where like a big TV event, like, oh, this is like it's a big ending. And I remember him crying, like wiping away tears while she was singing.
Yep.
It was wonderful.
It was great TV history. But it has been since that time we've had Letterman and Leno, and now we've got Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, and soon to be joined by Melissa Kay with Pigeon Talk. All about where we're going to learn more about the dog kennel and everything else that you're doing to become a pigeon mama.
Yeah.
I am okay.
I'm
So-
excited. I even got permission from my landlords. They wear pigeon pants. Do you know this? This is why she said I could get them, because they need time outside their cage every day. And they wear something called pigeon pants, which are like a diaper for a bird. And they're super cute. They're so adorable. They got like little suspenders. And I can make them.
I've got no words right now. No.
I
Pigeon
know.
pants.
This is just so great. Tony, this is how I felt when the Pat Kreitlow show ended and the host went to Europe. No more Pat in the morning, but then you came back and it was all so good. See, that's what happens when you got Melissa here. By the way, this is also World Meditation Day, National Waitstaff Day, and Talk Like Yoda Day, marking the 1980 anniversary of the release of Star Wars 5, The Empire Strikes Back. 45
Pigeon
years
I will
ago
get.
today. Pigeon I will get.
Pants they will wear.
Break we will take.
Melissa Kay, you're the best. Have a great day. We'll talk to you later on. We are going to be visiting with Earl Ingram coming up, and so much more ahead on these mornings, live from Lake Wissota across the Civic Media Radio Network. I'm Pat Kreitlow.
Because my love for you would break my heart in two.
I mean, look, there's a lot of tough jobs out there in the world. Here's the toughest job. Earl Ingram has to follow this, has to follow Pigeon Talk with Melissa Kay.
Good morning, Earl.
Good luck with that, Mr. Ingram. Although he might have us tuned out right now, and understandably so if he does.
Yeah.
Earl, can you hear us?
Are you there, buddy?
Oh, Earl.
Earl, can you hear us at all?
I don't think so.
I don't think you can hear us.
Okay.
Nope.
He might be working on something else there. All right. Well, we'll work with him, Melissa. And I mean, when is this pigeon? When is the grand arrival? When are you expecting?
I'm still waiting to hear from the pigeon rescue that I've
Pigeon
messaged.
rescue?
Oh my god!
Yeah. They're in Chicago.
Of course they are.
I feel like I'm being punked. I mean,
No,
this is
you're
so.
not. I put
All
in
right,
an inquiry to Zenith.
I want to get Earl set up here. So
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Okay.
Melissa.
Bye, Melissa. Earl, can you hear us? Can you hear us at all?
Earl, you out there, buddy?
Earl?
Oh.
Are you muted? Cannot hear you, buddy.
He's talking. It does say that he has to unmute his mic, so somehow he's muted on there, or doesn't have the right mic selected under settings.
Okay.
So Earl, you might have to hit the settings button at the bottom of StreamYard, and then
Earl,
audio.
Earl, can you hear us? Thumbs up if you can hear us.
Okay. I'll be right back.
I don't think you can hear me either. So.
Check.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Can you hear me though? No, I can.
Check.
All right. Can you hear me, Earl?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, we should be good then.
Excellent. All right, Earl. We come back in about 3 minutes.
All right. Do we get Earl back?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Hey, hello. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing great. All right. There we go. How are you feeling about that, Greg, audio-wise and everything? You need me to make
It sounds good. It sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. All right. So, Earl, thanks for doing this early this week, and then we'll do 8:06 from now on Wednesdays. But we had somebody previously booked in there, so a little earlier today. You working on any particular stories, interviews, or projects you want to get started with?
Well, actually, Dr. Howard Fuller, who is the founder of vouchers, he is the guy who created vouchers, along with Annette Polly Williams and Larry Hallwell. And was the national spokesperson for voucher schools. And so that history, I think most people across the state have no concept at all of it, how it started, why it was created, and how it went from here in Milwaukee to all across this nation.
Okay.
It clearly is. Dr. Howard Fuller is the former superintendent of Milwaukee Public Schools, and amongst all sorts of other firsts, just a wonderful, wonderful man who, even at 84 years old, has as much energy as most of us today. So
more than I have. Is it? So are you going to be? Is he going to be like a guest, or are you doing a story about him, or what?
Well, I'm going to have him on 2 to 3 different times.
Okay.
We discuss. He's come up with a new way of teaching reading.
Oh, okay, got it.
And so he's going to try to do that across the nation.
Awesome. Okay. Well, good. I got something to start with here. So we will get going right after Brittany's weather. So I'll tuck you back in the waiting room here so you can make noise, and I'll come get you as Brittany's wrapping up, okay?
That's fine.
All right. See you in a bit. Hello, Brittany.
Good morning.
How are you?
How you doing? Good, good.
All right. Don't think I have any questions here. It is what it is, and it's icky.
Yep.
Okay. All right. 25 seconds.
Okay.
Live across Wisconsin on Civic Media, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
And good morning. It is 7:06. Nice to have you along on this Wednesday morning, May 21st, 2025, live from Lake Wissota. Coming up in a bit, we're going to talk to our friend Earl Ingram, find out who he's talking to as part of his ongoing projects with Civic Media. We'll get to meteorologist Brittany Merlot in just a bit as well. In our homeroom segment at the bottom of the hour, we will be talking to Eau Claire State Representative Christian Phelps. He's a member of the Assembly Education Committee, so we'll find out if he can give us any kind of substantive update about what Republicans are putting in front of the Assembly Education Committee. Then in our 8 o'clock hour, we'll talk to Melissa Baldoff with our weekly climate check. And we will be checking in with Devin Remaker, who is a candidate for State Democratic Party chair. He is one of 3 candidates for State Democratic Party chair, and we will talk to all 3 candidates over the next 3 days. Devin Remaker, and then Joe Zepecki tomorrow, and William Garcia on Friday, all in our 8 o'clock hour. So tune in for that. They will make their decision on a new state party chair at their convention in Wisconsin Dells in the middle of June. So again, Earl Ingram coming up in just a bit, but first, meteorologist Brittany Merlot is here to once again get all kinds of either abuse or confusion from people that just want to know what happened to spring. Brittany, where did it go?
It went away for a little bit, unfortunately. Ew, it feels like fall, almost a little wintry, especially up north. We've got frost advisories again this morning that are in effect until 9 o'clock, pretty much from Hayward to Park Falls and north. Temperatures right now are at 39 degrees into Rhinelander and 48 degrees down south at Kenosha, where it's still raining. A lot of widespread rain still ongoing, especially by Lake Michigan into the Fox Valley. That's going to continue to be moderate as we go through the day today, kind of sprinkling out and lessening out further north. You actually may see some sunshine later, while the rest of us stay stuck under those overcast, cloudy, dreary skies with these raw, crisp, cold conditions. Now, winds are not nearly as strong as they were yesterday. They're still a little feisty today, keeping our high temperatures to the upper 40s far south and upper 50s far north. You're going to see a little bit more sunshine, so you'll get a little bit warmer up north. Otherwise, widespread rain, all of us pretty much picking up an inch of rain so far, a good 2 inches towards Janesville and Fond du Lac, about 1.5 inches at La Crosse, Eau Claire, and into Green Bay, with another inch headed towards the Fox Valley, Milwaukee area, probably another 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch for the rest of us. And then, last but not least, the sunshine. Where is it for the rest of us? It'll be here tomorrow. Hang in there.
All right, will do. Good morning from Tigerton, writes Rob. It's cloudy, rain 42 degrees, wind chills 35. We got a 1/2 inch of rain so far. He said that he is enjoying his days off from mowing, but after this rain moves out, he will be very busy mowing lawns. Can't complain because it's money-making time. And yeah, once that sun comes out after all this rain, I mean, you talk about the phrase is watching grass grow. You will literally be able to watch the grass grow.
You could probably get a time lapse of it. That'd be kind of cool.
It would. Rob goes on to say, Leo Sayre was popular in the mid to late 70s. And speaking of Mr. T, he remembers watching him on the A-Team in the mid 1980s. He was also a tag team partner with Hulk Hogan and WrestleMania. And of course, Mr. T was in Rocky III back in 1982. So we get a whole 80s cultural visit with Rob from out in Tigerton. Yes,
can I give you a fun fact?
Yes, you can.
I'm friends with his daughter.
What?
With Mr. T's daughter?
T's daughter. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, she's a comedian out of Chicago. She's really Erica Nicole Clark is her name. She's very, very funny. And there's times when you like meet people who are celebrity adjacent and you're like, I don't want to. I'm sure she gets asked all the time. She will talk for hours about her dad and tell the funniest stories.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, she's super wonderful. And he, from what I understand, is a very nice man.
In the 70s, there was a character on All-Star Wrestling called Baron von Raschke. And he had the claw, and it turned out, I mean, this very feared wrestler, his daughter went to school with my baby sister, and they were friends. And she always said that he was the sweetest dad in the neighborhood. Just the nicest guy, but then puts on the outfit and heads into the ring. So,
Wow.
everybody's got their gig. Yeah. I know. Brittany, thank you so much. We'll talk to you in our next hour.
Thank you.
All right. A note that in our daily newsletter at Up North News, sign up for it at upnorthnewswi.com. We've got something in there about this being National Bike Month and how they rank various cities in Wisconsin in terms of trails and bike-friendly businesses and supportive employers. There's a link in there as well to a group that ranks some of those most bike-friendly hometowns and organizations. Also new on our website and linked in the newsletter, the Wisconsin Race Guide for 2025. All the best places to race or run, walk, fun run, 5K, 10K, half marathon, full marathon, you name it. Our Wisconsin Race Guide for 2025 is on our website, upnorthnewswi.com. Click subscribe in the banner up on top to get our newsletters. Very happy to welcome Earl Ingram to the program now, who, after hosting the Earl Ingram Show for these many years, has been part of some new projects for civic media in the same way that Chad Holmes, and we're doing much more in terms of local cut-ins, local breaks, local stories, local people. Earl's been doing that for us in Southwest Wisconsin. We'll hear from James Kelly in Northwest Wisconsin a little later on in the program. Earl, how you doing?
Doing fine. How are you?
I'm great. It's so nice to have you here and finding out the kinds of folks that you've been talking to and the stories that you've been covering. And I wanted to find out more about this series of conversations that you're going to be having with Dr. Howard Fuller. For folks not from the Milwaukee area, he was the former superintendent and one of the driving forces behind the original voucher program, which, Earl, I don't think I'm being hyperbolic when I say the original school voucher program was very, very different from what the voucher programs have become all across the state, right?
Well, the original voucher program was created by State Representative Annette Polly Williams, Dr. Howard Fuller, and her assistant Larry Hallwell during the time that Governor Tommy Thompson was governor. And it was created because then State Representative Annette Polly Williams and long-term State Representative Annette Polly Williams thought that it was important that poor Black children had an equal opportunity at education. And so she sat down with, again, Dr. Howard Fuller and Larry Harwell, and they created an opportunity for then parochial schools, some of them, to take on Black children who didn't have the economic wherewithal to join the parochial schools to pay for the tuition. And then Governor Tommy Thompson thought it was a laudable exercise, and that's what they did. They created vouchers. It was created solely in the city of Milwaukee. Then President George Bush the first and Scott Walker and others looked at it and thought it was something that they could push across the entire nation, and started pushing it across the state of Wisconsin, and then eventually across the nation. Became very popular, and as we see today, it's mushroomed and certainly causes havoc to public schools all across the state and all across the nation.
Do you get the impression from talking to Dr. Fuller, I mean, does that lead to any sense of regret, either in the creation of it originally, or that there should have been some mechanism somewhere along the way that would prevent it from metastasizing the way that it has become just a cancer on Wisconsin public education statewide today.
Well, Dr. Fuller will clearly state that what has happened to the vision that they had is not what they envisioned. When you look at the fact that there used to be a time when if you wanted to send your child to a private school, then you did that out of your own pocket. And today, the way things are situated, whether or not you can afford to send your child to a private school, if you can, now taxpayers are saddled with paying for even those who economically don't need the support because of the way it's been jerry-rigged now. Vouchers or school choice does not have an impact on whether or not you are a person who is low income or upper income. We're going to pay all taxpayers pay for it all.
Sorry, I had myself on mute there. Yes, they most certainly do. And so obviously we will be talking to State Representative Christian Phelps in our next half hour about what's happening on the Assembly Education Committee. But the work for educating students goes on. And so you're also talking to Dr. Fuller about his continued work to help improve reading skills, learning to read amongst Milwaukee school kids. Is that right?
Well, Dr. Fuller, it's not only about Milwaukee school kids. It's the work that he's working on is to address, he thinks that one of the reasons why children, not just in the city of Milwaukee, but across the state and across the nation, reading scores have dropped precipitously. And so this is not something that is solely about Milwaukee children. It is national. And so he believes that teachers don't know how to teach reading anymore. And so he's pushing this new initiative that he's created that will improve the reading scores of children all over this nation.
So that will be a focus of what Earl Ingram is talking to Dr. Fuller about. And you said this is going to roll out over a couple of different parts of conversations that you're going to be having?
Well, that actually is going to start. I'm going to begin the interview process with him on June 3rd. I've done several others, I think really laudable and worthy interviews with people prior to this. So we're going to be rolling things out shortly.
I mean, I am so looking forward to this, to having the ability to do more of this long form reporting and visits, because there are so many stories that need to be told. There are lessons that need to be learned that, you and the folks that you're talking to are in such a position to make, and we can't get to that from the pinball machine that is the daily news cycle. So I'm glad to get to visit with you about these upcoming conversations with Dr. Fuller. And for folks who follow along with the show, Earl will make more regular appearances on Wednesday mornings, but in the 8 o'clock hour, we had a little extra time today in the 7 o'clock hour. And so we asked Earl if he'd come on and visit and tease what are going to be future weekly visits, much like we do with Chad Holmes, James Kelly, and other friends across the Civic Media Radio Network. And so we are very much looking forward to that, Earl. Appreciate that update. Thank you so much.
Thank you as well.
All right. I cannot tell you how much I'm looking forward to getting to visit with Earl on a more frequent basis here. Let's do a little sports first now at 7:19. The Milwaukee Brewers, they had game 2 of their series with the Baltimore Orioles. Logan Henderson recorded 7 strikeouts in 5 shutout innings. There were home runs from Bryce Terang, Sal Frelick, and Rhys Hoskins as the Brewers beat the O's 5-2 last night. It is the Brewers' first 3-game winning streak in 2 weeks. So hopefully things are falling back into place. The Brewers will play again this morning. It's a day game, 11:35. Coverage begins on several Civic Media stations. From the heart of America's up north, live from Lake Wissota, thanks for making this the place to spend part of your mornings. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. talk about next year's elections and a new candidate that has emerged for state Supreme Court. We'll hear from Appeals Court Judge Chris Taylor. I served with her in the Wisconsin legislature, and now she has announced that she will be running for state Supreme Court against Justice Rebecca Bradley. I'll have that little bit of audio coming up in just a moment. First, again, a reminder, you can sign up for our daily newsletter at upnorthnewswi.com. In there today includes a race guide for races all around Wisconsin and more about commuting by bike to work. Looking through the text line at the moment here, and there was a comment from Matt in Germantown about Derrick Van Orden and his comment about getting rid of the spring nonpartisan elections. And Matt says, I get that his rationale is bad. However, as someone who actively works the polls, I do think the spring elections are annoying and hard on both sides to get people out. It feels like waste, especially and mainly when there are primaries for a school board seat, for instance. Maybe just remove the primary from the spring elections. I don't know. It's just hard having 4 elections in even-numbered years. And yeah, there would also be elections in odd-numbered years if a Supreme Court seat is up, or for certain positions as well. And look, there are people who can make the point that the spring nonpartisan elections, that it's all a mirage, and that should there be any nonpartisan elections anymore? Look what has happened to state Supreme Court races. In fact, let's play that audio from Chris Taylor right now, because she gets to the notion of all of the money that parties now and partisan groups are pouring into these nonpartisan races. Matt Smith from WISN TV, host of Upfront, talked to her yesterday, and here's a bit of what Chris Taylor, an appeals court judge, had to say about running for a seat on Wisconsin Supreme Court with Matt Smith.
Do you see your time as a state lawmaker, a Democrat, as a benefit in this race?
I do, because let me tell you, it taught me a lot about the law, how it's made. That's incredibly helpful to a judge, but it also taught me a lesson that I think about every single day, and that is laws are about people. Every decision that I make, I'm thinking about who's being impacted by my decisions. And I want to make sure the people of the state have a justice that always puts them first, that respects them and treats them as fair as possible.
As you know, there's an incredible amount of money, a record amount of money in the last 2 state Supreme Court races. Will you accept unlimited donations, whether it be from liberal donors or the state Democratic Party, between now and next April?
Well, look, Matt, I don't like seeing all this money come into these races. In fact, when I was a legislator, I really fought against the laws that open the floodgates. I will run a competitive race, and I intend to win. So I'm going to have the resources to do that.
And you're confident you will have the resources in talking with potential donors?
I'm going to try my hardest. You know, the people of the state of Wisconsin, they have my commitment that I'm going to work every single day to run a race that they're proud of, and to make sure that I'm doing everything as a judge to ensure they have access to justice and they're treated fairly.
So this sets up the race that I think a lot of people really want to see. And by the way, it's not final yet. There's a long ways to go until that election next year. But as it would set up right now, you would have the justice whose seat is coming up next year. That would be Rebecca Bradley, who is arguably the most far-right extreme justice on the court. And I've made no secret that I have been reading her decisions for years. I've been listening to her comments for years. Her writings prior to becoming a justice, everything about it indicates somebody who would be happier with hosting a Fox News show or something else on right-wing media. It is very clear to see where her political leanings lie in this. Chris Taylor, now an appeals court judge, a former legislator, a Democrat, who has been a tireless champion for women and women's health rights, which, by the way, I thought it was, shall we say, curious that most media outlets chose to lead with the abortion issue in there. Not just that this former legislator is running, that this appeals court judge is running, but it was actually the media reports that were looking to frame next year's race as being all about abortion, far more so than Judge Taylor herself was doing. But it does set up this race where you're going to have somebody in, Justice Rebecca Bradley from the far right. You're going to have Chris Taylor being painted as somebody from the far left, being from Madison, being a legislator, being in favor of women's reproductive health rights. If no other candidates get in the race, this will be the matchup April of next year. If other candidates get in the race, there will first have to be a primary in February of next year, and then the top 2 candidates will advance to the April general election. But if no other candidates get involved, and it is Rebecca Bradley against Chris Taylor, it will be extremely expensive. It will be extremely public. It will not be pleasant, shall we say. And that is because both of these people are very much fighters for what they believe in. One believes in a very far-right, extreme version of what Wisconsin law should look like, and one does not. One has been much more engaged in public service as a people's representative in the legislature before winning seats first as a judge and then as an appeals court judge. So get used to hearing more about appeals court judge Chris Taylor running against Justice Bradley. Justice Bradley has indicated that she is going to run for another 10-year term. She's coming up to the end of a 10-year term. She was initially appointed to the Wisconsin Supreme Court by Scott Walker, which is pretty much all else that you have to say moving forward. Coming up later in the program, James Kelly will tell us about stories he's working on for civic media stations in Northwest Wisconsin. We'll be talking to Devin Remaker, a candidate for state Democratic Party chair. We'll have him today, Joseph Pecky tomorrow, William Garcia on Friday. Melissa Baldoff will have our climate check, and we'll have another check-in with meteorologist Brittany Merlot. But up next, State Representative Christian Phelps. Thank you for spending some time here as part of your mornings, powered by Up North News. More after the Midwest Farm Report. I'm Pat Kreitlow. Hey, Christian, how are we doing?
Great. How are you?
Good, thanks. A little busy here today, but so as Chris Hambuck Boyle set this up, we're just pretty generally going through what your observations on the Assembly Education Committee to this point.
Okay.
And what else you're working on? What else should we be hitting here today?
I have I can compare the education budget that the governor proposed to what they did in their first executive session.
Perfect. Okay. That sounds good. Let's see. Tony's already asking during the commercial break, school lunches pass yet? I'm going to say no.
Correct.
Okay. I think that was sarcasm from Tony. All right. Sounds good. Anything outside the education committee that you're working on?
Yeah, I mean, tons of stuff, but I think education is indicative of all of it. Leads into all of it well. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, I'm happy to answer anything you have, though.
Oh, I know you always do. But I didn't want to skip anything that was a priority of yours. What was I going to say? Did you happen to hear Earl's comments earlier about his interviews coming up with Dr. Howard Fuller?
Yeah,
and
I did.
How vouchers, started as one thing and became another. And I didn't know.
One of the things that popped into my head when he was talking about all that is even just the world where a Democratic legislator put forward some kind of big new idea and a Republican governor signed it is foreign to us right now. That would not happen.
It's foreign because, and look, I don't want to get in trouble necessarily with the folks who had very good intentions in setting up the original voucher program, But, that Republican governor and others, I think very clearly saw an opening and said, sure, we'll let you start your little program, and
Definitely true.
I think there were always ulterior motives in mind. And I think people tried to warn, the voucher proponents at the time. And I understand the conflict. I had to live the conflict, as a legislator. I just, I have the freedom now outside of, this to say, yeah, that was maybe, you're not going to put that toothpaste back in the tube,
No, I completely agree with you on that. But I also think that the fact that it was led by a Democrat would currently, if it were happening today, it would make them big choice. I mean, they would do something like try and get a Republican to write it instead.
Yes.
Like they wouldn't even they wouldn't want to give a Democrat any credit for anything.
Yes.
And so imagine if that had been the environment back then, maybe we would have avoided this by accident, and then we wouldn't have this privatization problem. I mean, whatever.
Maybe. Yeah. All right. We will get going in a minute and 15 seconds. I'll tuck you back in the waiting room and come get you into bed. Mr. Bach, you need anything?
I am, as the kids say, all good.
You are.
Thanks.
It's twoo. Greg, if you want to be up on camera for a sec, I've got a comment on the pigeons here. Welcome back. 7:35 now, live from Chippewa Falls. I'm Pat Kreitlow. Greg Bach is down in Radio Park, where earlier Greg and I were talking to Melissa Kay from our civic media station in Wisconsin Rapids, and we learned from Melissa that she wants to get a pigeon, and all of the accoutrements associated with pigeon keeping. And on the text line, Matt from Germantown asks, is she going to use it to send notes to people? Yeah. And that is the challenge I think I would lay out for Melissa. Is this just for pet companionship, or is there going to be something utilitarian? Are we going to get some value out of this pigeon, besides a potential very small, dinner at some point if the pigeon
I want to make sure this pigeon is worth it. Send me messages. She also let us know about the whole pigeon culture, pigeon pants, pigeon mamas, pigeon cages, all the whole thing.
And
who knew?
I just did not know. If I just picture her back in Wisconsin Rapids right now going, I can't believe they bought all this. I can't believe pigeon pants. Who does that? We did. We're into it. Hook, line, and sinker. We were totally invested. So Matt in Germantown, good question. So again, add it to our list, Greg, of things to talk to Melissa about next week as we continue on Pigeon Watch, the Melissa Kay edition.
2025.
All right. Let's turn to our homeroom segment now and talk to State Representative Christian Phelps from Eau Claire, a member of the Assembly Education Committee, and friends of the show will recall joining us quite frequently on behalf of the Wisconsin Public Education Network prior to his election to the Assembly. Representative Phelps, how are you?
I'm great. Good to see you this morning.
Yeah, it's nice to have you here as well. You know what? Before we get into the education aspect of it, maybe your ears were burning, but Dan Schaefer was mentioning you, and we were talking about his column about races to watch, legislators to watch from now through November of next year, in the districts that were close in the presidential race and with new, less gerrymandered maps have led to more competitive races. And maybe Democrats have a chance to even take the majority in the legislature. And obviously you've been noticed right out of the gate, not just for the conditions of the district, but your work ethic and all the knowledge of education that you bring into this race. So I wanted to get your impression on being listed as one of those, races to watch already, whether like me, you become a one and done, one term, thanks for serving, moving on, or, if folks there think you've got legs and are going to be around for a little bit, kind of nice to be on a list of people getting a little extra attention, I think.
I guess so. I mean, we got plenty of attention last year because it was really the first chance mathematically that the 93rd had to flip in over 10 years, in 14 years, because of how gerrymandered it had been. And so people were already kind of watching and paying attention. And I had the privilege and luxury and exhaustion of having a competitive Democratic primary and then a competitive general election. So it was a very busy year, and it worked out. And I think our work is not done because, as I'm sure we'll discuss momentarily, we did not quite get the majority. We gained 10 seats in one swoop. That's pretty good, but there's a pretty hard limit on the amount of policy work you can get done when you work in the minority party in the legislature. And so, I think next year we will have some agenda items to really go back to the voters with and sell. And I think it's going to work out even better for us. But we have to keep the 93rd in our control in order to get that majority and actually get some things done, including investing in public schools, including rural public schools in the 93rd. So I look forward to talking to everybody about that.
Well, and you have a majority that is much thinner for Republicans and yet is still trying to create that illusion of full and total control, rather than seeing, perhaps more bipartisanship than some folks would have expected with more competitive districts, which takes us to the Assembly Education Committee, on which you serve. And certainly, I'm sure I framed the question similarly at the start of the session. And how did you think the Assembly Education Committee work would unfold? And I'm going to put it in those same terms again this time around. How much of what you're seeing put in front of you by majority Republicans on the Education Committee is substantive and directly related to improving, education quality in our classrooms versus what I would call sideshows, but other people just might say, issues that aren't as relevant to the direct education of our kids. How would your 30,000-foot view of the committee look so far?
Oh, yeah, it's a busy one, and so we've gotten plenty of content in the first four and a half months here, and it is not substantive. That's my observation. The luxury of being a new person in the legislature is that I can kind of walk around the Capitol with a flashlight and go into nooks and crannies and say, on behalf of the people of Wisconsin, why doesn't anything good ever happen around here? Like, what's going on? And a big part of it is just the agenda setting. So there are proposals introduced that would be substantive, that would help make it easier for kids to learn and teachers to teach in Wisconsin, and here in the 93rd. And then what happens is that the majority decides what moves forward and what doesn't. So, for example, on the Education Committee, we have 9 Republicans and 4 Democrats, which does not reflect the nearly 50-50 legislature. So ungerrymander the maps, gerrymander the committees to maintain your control. And so it was always kind of an open question: is there going to be more bipartisanship with the closer assembly makeup, or are they going to kind of behave exactly the same ways they did when they had that manufactured one-party rule? So far, they're doing the latter. And so on that committee, we've gotten several full days of bills to hear and then debate and then release, and then they make it to the floor. Those bills have been about things like whether we call our test standards basic or developing. That took many, many hours of taxpayer-funded time. We decided whether teachers should be allowed to use students' pronouns. We have discussed whether cursive should be mandatory. But proposals to do things like invest in school lunches for all and make them and reimburse school districts so that families can spend less on groceries and every single child can be fed at school. That was proposed in January, has not even been given a hearing yet. So the agenda setting by the majority party is one of the main reasons that so little good stuff gets done in the Capitol. If I could shine a light on that for the community, it's not great news, but it is true.
And I would take it a step further and seize on what you said there about some good bills like school lunches for all kids not even getting a hearing. And so when we talk about a group that still is maintaining the illusion of all-encompassing power, it's one that looks at a bill like that, and they could say, well, let's give this thing a hearing right away. Let's we don't want to pass it. We think, kids getting school lunches is welfare or whatever their position is. But the fact that they won't even give a bill like that a hearing kind of gives away the game in terms of where they want to keep 100% of their focus, which appears to be on all of these, culture war issues and things like that, rather than anything substantive. But I'll try to be fair here. As you've looked through the budget process, as you looked at what Governor Evers proposed for education, what you would like to see versus what the Republicans have done in the Joint Finance Committee, have you been encouraged by anything that you've seen there so far as the budget starts to become put together by Republicans?
I'm so glad you asked that, Pat, because it is a perfectly fair question, and I wish I had a better answer. It's perfectly logical to say, maybe a lot of the important public education issues belong in the budget. So maybe we don't need to talk about standalone bills until after the budget process is over. So the governor proposed the budget bill, and then Wisconsinites were invited to 4 public hearings at the committee, the Joint Finance Committee, to voice where they stand on that budget bill that the governor had proposed. He had proposed doubling the state's commitment to special ed funding, which is way, way, way below where it needs to be right now, and even further below what they fund private schools at. He proposed increases to per pupil aid. He proposed things like the Healthy Meals, Healthy Kids program, teacher apprenticeship and grow your own programs to address the teacher shortage, and peer-to-peer suicide prevention grants in schools. Really important stuff that got overwhelming support at those public hearings before the Joint Finance Committee. Everything I just listed was taken out all at once by the Republicans on that committee after hearing from Wisconsinites in their first executive session on the budget, where they removed 612 items from the governor's budget bill. So at this rate, the bill that they give us as the legislature out of that committee to vote on, the biennial state budget, will not look anything like the budget that the governor proposed. And on education issues, it zeroed out almost every popular proposal that Wisconsinites overwhelmingly said that they actually wanted to see in there.
Which actually presents both an opportunity and a challenge for Democrats, who can either shrug their shoulders and, the voters just get the impression of, well, what are you going to do? They threw it out. That's what they do. They're in the majority, as opposed to now they're on record saying these are good ideas and we don't like them. And so, we Democrats are going to say to those Republicans, these are good ideas, and so forth and so on. So, you've got, even in the setback of having these things thrown out, it seems like you have a messaging opportunity going forward.
Yeah, I think it's really bold for the Republican members of the Joint Finance Committee to do this again. They've done it to the last few budgets Governor Evers put forward, but at that time they had manufactured a 2/3 majority in the legislature. But now they have colleagues like me and many others, 23 new Democrats in the Assembly alone, who represent competitive districts. They themselves represent competitive districts, many of them who didn't before. And, in my case, I represent a lot of rural residents of Western Wisconsin who don't have a private school around. They're not interested in spending their taxpayer funds on private education. Their public schools have had to go to referendum just to stay open. In many cases, the public school district is the largest employer in these communities, and they have a representative who's going to tell them the truth about what's happening in the Capitol and why their public schools are struggling. Republicans haven't really had to face that in recent sessions, so it's awfully bold and dangerous politically for their future to continue to take out popular and much needed proposals from the budget without further consideration after hearing from people, because now they have colleagues who are going to hold them accountable for it. And frankly, nobody has asked me or anybody else to sit back and use only a fraction of our power here. I think if there's one thing that's clear after the 2024 election and 2025 state of politics at local, state, and federal levels, people want their elected officials to use as much power as they can muster to fight for them. And so, I'm a first-term member. I'm not on the Joint Finance Committee. I'm not the governor. There's a limit to how much power I have, but whatever I have, and however many loud microphones I can find to sort of speak the truth into, I'm going to use it because that's what people are asking us to do.
Well, and that's what we appreciate having you here on our homeroom segment and, throughout the course of your work to help people understand it's not just what's in the final budget bill, but all of this, if you want to call it sausage making, that's fine. But it is important to know that there were some good, healthy ingredients that were set to go into the sausage, and we're getting a whole lot of filler and garbage instead. State Representative Christian Phelps is a member of the Assembly Education Committee and is a first-term Democratic state rep from Eau Claire. Christian, good to talk to you as always. Hope you have a great day.
Yeah, great to talk to you too. Thanks for
right.
inviting me.
You bet. Take care. Hey, we've got daytime baseball across the Civic Media Radio Network today. It'll be the Brewers versus the Orioles going for the sweep in that series and looking for their first 4-game winning streak in I don't know how long, but coverage begins at 11:35 on stations in Richland Center, Oshkosh, Racine, Kenosha, Park Falls, and Hayward. Coming up in our 8 o'clock hour, we will be talking to Devin Remaker, one of the candidates for State Democratic Party chair. We'll talk to Joe Zepecki tomorrow and William Garcia coming up on Friday. Melissa Baldoff in our next hour as well. Remember, you can follow my team at upnorthnewswi.com and, of course, mornings here on the Civic Media Radio Network. I'll be right back. Senior Alba.
Well, welcome back, Mr. Kreitlow.
Well, thank
Mr.
you.
Alba, not some of it's Alba.
Oh my gosh.
It's kind of like that was like the theme to that girl. Alba.
Just take your hat and throw it up in the air and freeze frame.
For God's sake.
He's gone. He's gone. We lost him.
Yep. God. Oh dear.
How was the trip, Patrick?
It was perfect. It was so lovely.
For you.
Yeah. Where did you disappear to there, bud?
I'm just getting some coffee.
Oh, okay.
Oh, coffee. Coffee sounds good.
Don't worry, I'm not heading to the shower.
All right. Pat, by the way, that funky bump tune you were talking about, that was one of the songs you picked.
That's fine, I guess. That's what I get for picking them based on little snippets.
Well, it's good stuff. It's a funky
No, it's
bump.
good. No, I'm saying I surprised myself.
There you go.
Okay.
Tony
was worried. Where did the
seconds.
Toddfather go?
The Toddfather is everywhere.
I also like this. I think Melissa's going to be sending messages about troop movements.
Oh my gosh. Pigeons. My God. All right. We got 30 seconds.
Okie dokie.
Gracias.
Artichoke. 7:52, and we are joined now by Todd Alba of the conveniently named Todd Alba Show, weekdays from 2 to 4 across the Civic Media Radio Network. And he's got that little grin on his face where he's like, "You can't make that joke anymore, guy with the show conveniently named after me now." I understand.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. The jet lag is just about shaken off after like a 6:30 bedtime last night. But again, totally worth it. Loved the trip. Loved Portugal. Loved travel. And do you have much for travel / Europe experience?
No, never been to Europe.
Okay.
I would like to go. I have not been. By the way, I heard Melissa Kay is getting a pigeon. I also like pigeon. It's called squab on my plate. Things are looking good.
Oh, you had to go there, didn't you?
A man of the people.
Yeah. Tony writes, I think she's going to be sending messages about troop movements.
Yeah.
That now we have to check on Pete Hegseth and see if he has pigeons in his backyard, since he can't use Signal anymore. So you remind me though of
that's really funny.
You remind me of the pigeon comment and the squab comment about how when we have had our problem with buckthorn in the yard, and we've talked about getting a goat. And the thing about getting a goat is it would help control your buckthorn and other weeds. And then at the end of the year, you can make some really good stew with it, because one of the things we've certainly learned in our travels over the years is this is one of the few places where you can't get goat stew on a regular basis. And that is good stuff, boys and girls.
Ladies and gentlemen, mark it down. Something has finally gotten Pat Kreitlow's goat.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. What? That was Greg, by the way. That was not me.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. By the way, yes.
I think I've had goat. Once in El Salvador, like a goat taco. But other than that, never really had the dish.
Good thing you're used to both the goat tacos and El Salvador, so that when you and I end up in that prison cell out there in the perhaps not too distant future, at least you can tell me, which vendors I should, get my tacos from. Anyway, coming up on the show today, it says you are live from location today at Kopke's Greenhouse. What's that all about?
It's a 3-day tour, just like Gilligan's Island. We're starting at Kopke's Greenhouse, one of our fine sponsors at Civic Media, in the town of Dunn, just outside of Oregon. Great plans. Going to talk to Gordy, the proprietor there. But also, maybe more importantly, they do a great auction every Memorial Day weekend. They auction off a bunch of these beautiful planters, and they have concessions and drinks and free music. All the proceeds for the weekend go to the Badger Honor Flight to get our veterans out to Washington, D.C. So it's a great cause. And we're going to be down there. And then Thursday, I'm going to be in the greater Chippewa Valley area for my youngest niece's graduation from Eau Claire Memorial High School. And then on Friday, I'm going to be bringing my ice skates to join Pat Kreitlow on Lake Minnesota, perhaps. We had this all planned out. It was going to be a pontoon boat. It was going to be nice and sunny. And now I'm literally packing my electric vest to go to the outdoor graduation tomorrow night in Eau Claire.
I'm not going to lie. With this vacation, I'd completely lost track of the note that we were maybe going to do a show this Friday, Memorial Day Friday, from the pontoon on the lake. And I'll double check with Brittany in about 15 minutes here, but it appears they know where that's happening at this point right now.
It'll be Todd and Pat out in the middle of Lake Minnesota.
Oh no, he's putting his jacket on, getting all bundled up.
Oh,
yeah.
So anyway, we'll be on the road for a few days this week.
What?
Say, Greg?
What day? What's happening?
He's on the road because he's going to be in Eau Claire for his.
Oh, he'll be on the road. I thought you meant your show was coming from a pontoon boat on Friday.
Not my show. His show was going to come from my pontoon on Friday.
All right. Behind the scenes, everybody.
We're all almost on the same page here now. So that's what's coming up on Todd's show this afternoon. And before Greg leaves, he'll be back in an hour for Matt and Air on Air. And you've got a big old guest coming up today. You and Jane.
We have State Senator Diane Hesselbein here on the show, just talking about what's going on in Madison and all, the budget and whatnot. And then the second hour we have Kathy Giorgio, who is an author whose name, she's an alumni of Waukesha North High School, whose name she had her name taken off their Wall of Fame because they have banned her books from their library.
Yeah, that would seem to be incongruent, shall we say? Like, yeah, you're on a Wall of Fame, but we're not going to put your books here. We're going to ban your books.
So she'll be on the second hour. State Senator Diane Hasselbein will be on in the first hour, and then always wrapping it up with "This Shouldn't Be a Thing."
Okay, and then Maggie Dawn later today has Senator Kristen Dassler-Alfheim and Dr. Kristen Lyerly on the program, and then Pete Schwaba has artist and co-director of the Door County Contemporary Art Fair, Shane McAdams, coming up. So much going on here. If the show doesn't take place Friday on the pontoon, Todd, will that be all right? Have we started working on a plan B? Oh dear, I think Todd's connection has.
So,
I don't know how to break this to you, buddy. I don't know how to break this to you. Line and Kugels isn't being made in Chippewa there now.
You can't hear me? I know.
Your Wi-Fi is Todd. Your Wi-Fi is terrible.
Once again, Todd didn't pay the bill, and they're giving him pigeon-powered Wi-Fi, ladies and gentlemen. So you'll have to wait for him to come to the studio to hear him as crystal clear as always, Mr. Alba. Through the pixelation, like the days when we young men used to watch HBO after dark. It's good to kind of see you, and Greg is definitely ready to move on to his.
That was great.
Off.
That was great. Mm-hmm.
I am so glad that we could once again take the standards of this show and put them right into the wood chipper, just like the guy at the end of Fargo.
I'm going to file this segment away for WBA.
Yes, please do, along with many others. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye.
Greg is back in 1 hour for Matt and Air on Air, and in our next hour, Devin Remiker and Melissa Baldoff, and an updated forecast from meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Remember, follow us at upnorthnewswi.com and mornings here on the Civic Media Radio Network. I'm Pat Kreitlow. That was some amazing Wi-Fi right there, buddy.
I could see and hear you completely fine.
Yeah, you were breaking up a lot, especially at the end.
No lag. There was
right there.
It's happening right now.
I'm sorry.
I would if you haven't done a speed test, see what your upload speed is compared. I know everybody talks about the fast download speed, but upload speed is agreed. All right. Talk to you later.
Thanks.
Bye,
buddy.
All right. There's Devin. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing today?
Doing really good. So, all right. You're in the same time and place, or same place as last time. So you're in good shape there with your audio, your video. We've got Ben's endorsement, obviously. Other things that you want to make sure we hit during our time together?
I think just, what we're hearing from folks on the campaign trail, I think a lot of the same themes is what we started with, but obviously we're a little bit further down the road. I forget, when did we last talk? Was that like mid-April? Late April?
It was mid-April. Yes.
Mid-April. Yeah.
And so since that time, you picked up from Ben from Martha Landing too, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
And 98 other Democrats from around the state, in addition to Ben and Martha.
Okay. Any travels or events that we should make note of?
This is actually, we're entering we're a little past the crunch of county party meetings as you get into that fourth week of the month. The third week tends to be the busiest week, but depending on how you count the days here, a lot of folks have sort of stopped that. So the next few days are going to be a lot of calls and talking with folks.
All right. Sounds good. All right. I'll put you back in the waiting room here, and we'll see you right after news and weather.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, Pat.
Hey, what?
When you have a chance, can you send me the promos for the rest of the week?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Make those. And so I guess were we waiting on Sam too, or is this Luke and Parker connection the one?
I think it's Luke and Parker. I think it's Luke and Parker, I believe. Okay. I have no idea what their plan is. It might be Sam.
Gentlemen, are you in there?
Can you hear us? Are you listening at all?
Are you there, guys?
It's me, Margaret.
All right. Clearly. Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Now we're over here.
Hello. We got a whole.
Right.
There are way too many people in that room. My God. Is that shirt say "Make Boys Cry"?
It sure does.
God, I want to wear that. I want to wear that shirt so bad.
See? Yeah. It makes, it's funny.
God, I love that shirt so much.
All right. So let's see. We got Dom is in here. Sam is in here. Is that Parker back there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is Luke still the ringleader?
He's somewhere.
Now. He's grabbing a chair.
Yeah.
This is Civic Media's brand new band called "Make Boys Cry."
Should I cut the other two connections here, the Luke and Parker connection and the Madison audio connection?
I'll remove them. Yep.
You'll remove them. Okay.
I'll pull them out.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna get going. You
All
guys
right.
have a good show, and if you need anything, let me know. Bye.
Okay, bye. Let's see. Now we gotta figure this out here. We got Dom, Sam.
Yeah, are you changing our name again?
Yep.
Okay.
Parker.
Yeah, there were so many of us that just changed it to WMDX, but
Okay.
are you gonna talk to us more, or you want us on camera?
Briefly at the start, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's get this. There.
All right, we got 2 minutes before we're in here.
Whirlwind.
Hey, is
I've
Luke
whirlwind
is
already,
Luke
yeah.
Handy? Luke Handy there for a quick question?
Yeah, he just came back in.
Can you ask him, Luke? I know we had Michelle Velasquez at the live event, but can you confirm either Velasquez or Velasquez how she pronounces her?
I
last name?
will get right on that.
Okay, good. I know I asked her at the time, but I've forgotten since. So okay,
Yep.
thank you for that.
Are you sitting in for third hour? No. Okay.
You're student teaching.
Well, I didn't.
No, you're good.
In another chair or something.
Can you at least step back into the frame for a moment there and away from the logo?
It's a whole team effort.
Come over because I want you to pose for the album cover. There we go. There, I'm gonna get that later. Okay, needed that screenshot.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Grab that.
All right.
Everybody, Parker's first day of school.
All right. Well,
Oh, there we go.
that's why you got to make it fun.
We got 1 minute.
All right. See you all in a bit.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I live. Oh, you're fine. Okay, cool. Yeah. I was I did the NFL draft.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of people that went there.
We had credentials for it.
Really?
Yeah.
Whole little thing there. Nice.
Brittany,
Hey,
how are you?
good. How are you?
Good. We got a whole crew in Madison here this time around.
Wow.
I know. Let's see. Waiting for the Make Boys Cry best song, Kick 'em Where It Hurts. I'm gonna have to go with Shizu on that one. I'm too old to know. All right, 15 seconds.
Live across Wisconsin on Civic Media, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Hey, good morning. It's 8:06. It's nice to have you here up north on this Wednesday morning, May 21st, 2025. Sam is on the board with friends. I'll explain in just a moment, but first let me tell you that Devin Remaker is standing by. He is a candidate for chair of the state Democratic Party of Wisconsin. He will be joining the show today. Another candidate for DPW chair, Joe Zepecki, will be here tomorrow. William Garcia will be here on Friday. So over the next 3 days in our 8 o'clock hour, you'll get a second round of hearing from all three candidates who want to run the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. Once Ben Wickler steps down, Ben Wickler has made an endorsement in that race. It's something I'm sure Devin will want to talk about in just a couple of moments. But first, let's bring in meteorologist Brittany Merlot and what could only be described as a mob. down at the control room in Madison, the Dom, Sam, Parker, Luke experience. 4 gentlemen who
A menagerie.
I know. I mean, the guys look like an album cover. Their debut album should be out soon. Sam, what's the sweatshirt say there, buddy?
Make boys cry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with that.
Is that a reference I'm not getting? Or...
I don't think it's a reference to anything. I just thought it was a funny sweatshirt.
Okay. All right. Brittany is loving this. It's okay.
I am.
No, that's great. So for folks who missed it a couple hours ago when the show first started, we are welcoming Mr. Parker here to the show. We first met with Dom yesterday. Sam is getting set to move into much more credible employment circumstances, and
I don't know about that.
Luke is keeping his distance from anything involving me in live radio because he's no dummy. So that's how he got to be in the position where he is. But he's having a great time with these great gentlemen, Dom and Sam and Parker, all working on making sure that all of these shows run a lot tighter than the host would otherwise let them. So welcome, guys, to all of you. And Brittany, let's welcome you back in reluctantly, because again, it's not you. It's not you. It's this, whatever this is, which I hear is eventually going to move out of here. I mean, obviously it would anyway. It's all in the word eventually, but when, Brittany, when is the sun and the warmth come back?
It is taking its sweet time, but we're okay. We've got this. We're going to get through this. I mean, we got 2 inches of rain that already accumulated into Janesville, Fond du Lac, and south areas. La Crosse to Eau Claire picking up a good inch to an inch and a half. A lot of us getting doused with that rain, but it is starting to wind down. Far northwest, you're starting to see that start to sweep south through the state as the system departs off to the east. But again, it's going to take its time. We're still looking at light rain expected throughout most of the day for most of us. Up north, that, of course, is going to be gone by the afternoon. Down south, you could still see a few spotty sprinkles still lingering through early tomorrow morning. Otherwise, the sunshine and the warmth are right behind it. Now, I'm not talking about the warmth in the 80s. Sorry, that's not coming our way for this weekend. But we are looking a little bit more seasonal into those mid 60s to upper 60s as we go through Memorial Day weekend. So we will hit 60 degrees for most of the state tomorrow. But today we still have to deal with upper 40s far south and upper 50s far north. And those dreary skies still continuing. Areas of fog, and then tonight, another frost advisory is expected, especially far north. We're still under one right now, and we've still got a beach hazard statement on Lake Michigan where those waves are rocking and rolling. They were up to 9 feet yesterday. They're about 6 feet today. So some crummy weather all around, but things are getting better just in time for the long weekend.
Yeah, Shiju writes on YouTube, this is lovely tea and writing weather. And I think we talked about it being International Tea Day. So, yes, it's definitely, if you're going to have a warm beverage, a day for it like that. Rob from Tigerton says, I like Brittany's sweatshirt. We mentioned Sam's sweatshirt. You've got one of the Great Lakes.
Yes, I do. Thank you. I try to, bright yellow, brighten the day or something, too.
There you go. And Rob also mentioned things seem to be getting serious out there. Colorado, other states, because of cuts to the National Weather Service with this being severe weather and hurricane season, that there are the work is still getting done, but only because the people who haven't been fired yet are taking on extra shifts and working overnights and things. That not a sustainable system for putting warnings out.
No, it's not. A lot of the National Weather Service is getting tired. I mean, they're covering for different regions, not just different local offices like they used to. They're different regions. And I know that the Hurricane Center is actually asking for employees internally to help them out because the hiring freeze. So they don't know what to do. They're just scrambling, trying to pull from everywhere. And eventually, I think we're going to hit burnout, and we're going to hit the results for us getting a little scary too.
Yeah. And we don't want to see that happen anywhere, much less, right here in our backyard, but it is a potential. Last thing before you go, the picture on your screen there, the Dom, Sam, Parker, Luke experience. Did you expect to see a frame like right before or after it that says a please don't destroy video? From the guys on Saturday Night Live. Doesn't it look like they're about to do one of those?
Yes, it does. Oh my gosh.
I think this is just the greatest thing. I think we've opened up a new chapter here. Thank you, Brittany.
Thank you.
All right. We will talk to you tomorrow. Hey, this is National Bike Month. Today is not a great day for a bicycle commute, but there are still plenty of days in Wisconsin where it would be nice to ride if, we had proper trails and supportive employers and bike-friendly businesses. Well, there is a national group that rates all of these things, and we have a link in today's Up North News daily newsletter all about Wisconsin's most bike-friendly hometowns and organizations. Now, if instead you're one of those people that sits behind the wheel all the time, especially in our larger communities, have you ever wondered how much does it cost you, quite literally, to sit in traffic? You can read about that expense in today's edition. And also linked in our newsletter and new in our website, a guide to all the best races in Wisconsin this summer. Everything from a walk to a fun run to a 5K, 10K, half and full marathons. All that you'll find at upnorthnewswi.com. 8:13 now, and let's visit with Devin Remaker, who is a candidate for state party chair for the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, one of 3 candidates. We'll talk to the other candidates tomorrow and again on Friday. Devin, welcome back to the program. Nice to have you here today.
Great to be here again. Thanks for having me, Pat.
We are getting into that point. You're heading to Memorial Day weekend and then the last weekend of the month. And I know from working in a county party myself that it's in that middle part of the month where if you want to go talk to county Democratic parties in this case, I mean, you got to be on the road ceaselessly. And you certainly were, along with other candidates, hitting not just county parties, but congressional district level party meetings. And so since you first got into the race, we talked to you shortly after you announced. Tell us more about the campaign. You've picked up some very key endorsements and met a whole lot of people along the way.
Absolutely. Well, picked up a lot of mileage, that's for sure. I have traveled the state from Hayward to Kenosha and to Chippewa Falls, all over. And I think my campaign now has hit 100 public endorsers. Some folks who are also supporting me, but not ready to slap their name on the website yet. But I'm really proud to have, Chair Ben Wickler, former Chair Martha Lanning, former Chair Martha Love, former Chair Jeffrey Neubauer, and over 20 county party chairs from every corner of the state, along with a host of other party delegates, leaders, joining my team. And I think folks are really just ready and itching to get back in the fight as quickly as possible this year, and are excited to support me as the candidate who can do that.
I don't know if the endorsement from Ben Wickler, how much of it comes as a surprise to folks, if they thought that the outgoing chair was not going to endorse throughout this race, or if it's something that makes sense since, as he said, he's been working side by side with you for a big chunk of his time as chair here. Would you say that Ben's endorsement were you expecting him not to endorse throughout the entirety of this race for chair?
I got into this race not knowing if he would or would not endorse me, but I'm very glad he did. Obviously, Ben is someone that I have worked closely with for the past 6 years. About half of his tenure, I was his executive director, so working as his right hand. And honestly, I think that a lot of folks are just hoping that a lot of the great things that we have built together over those 6 years can continue, and that we have the resources we need to compete, that we can keep running the best-in-class program and be the strongest state party in the country. And I'm absolutely honored to have his endorsement, and really excited about the reception I've already got from having that out there in the world.
Does that, how do you feel like that is going to translate? Because obviously Ben was well regarded in the state, and one could certainly say very well regarded outside of the state, bringing so much attention to the Democratic Party of Wisconsin that wasn't there previously. Do you feel, though, that puts a little extra pressure on you to be following in Ben and keeping that national spotlight on Wisconsin?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think all of us candidates felt like, there was some pretty big shoes to fill at the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. And, I think my unique strength is I just happen to know how big those shoes are, better than anybody else, having worked with them so closely. But certainly it does add a little bit of pressure, having his direct support to make sure I could rise to the occasion. But I feel really confident, given my experiences, whether it was heading up the People v. Musk, the effort that not only helped Susan Crawford win the Supreme Court race, but also, sort of sent Elon Musk packing from the White House. And as we heard yesterday, maybe from politics in general, I think I have a pretty good track record of being able to excite people in the state and engage audiences nationally as well.
We're talking to Devin Remaker, a candidate for chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. That decision will be made by delegates to the state Democratic Party convention in Wisconsin Dells next month. I've asked before, and I will ask all three candidates again to help break past any initial, say, geographic assumptions about candidates that you'll be seen as the insider candidate / the Madison candidate. Joe Zepecki might be seen as the Milwaukee candidate or the outside of the current party candidate. William Garcia would be seen more as like the outstate or the rural candidate. But in all cases, since we can't combine the best of all of you into a blender and get one super chair, we have to ask all of you, how do you break out of those perceived boxes? What is it that people should know about you beyond, what makes up that initial feeling? Like, well, you've been inside DPW, so if we vote for you, there won't be much to change.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I think I sort of came to DPW from a bit of a different background. I was born and raised in Two Rivers, Wisconsin, out in the country, as we called it, out on County Highway 42, which a lot of people know as they're driving up to Door County through Two Rivers. And I was on an acre of land surrounded by farm fields that my great-grandparents bought from a farmer. We weren't farmers ourselves. So definitely was a very rural upbringing. And then I went to school at UW La Crosse. I sort of was kind of like the outstate political operative for the first half of my career in politics, working for State Representative Steve Doyle and then Congressman Ron Kind after that over the sprawling 3rd Congressional District. So although I've certainly been at the party for a while, I think I do bring a somewhat unique perspective given my political experience on the ground. And I've been really glad that I had that because it helped me figure out that we need to make sure county parties get more support all around this state. That's something we did through the KIND campaign, helping to support year-round offices like the Portage County Democrats. And it makes a huge difference for county parties to be able to have that home base and that presence in their community.
Devin Remaker is a candidate for state party chair. Again, that will be decided on at the State Democratic Party Convention in Wisconsin Dells coming up a little later on this month. Still ahead, we are going to be talking to Melissa Baldoff about our weekly climate check update. First, a reminder, you can sign up for our newsletters, plural. Head over to upnorthnewswi.com to do that. And a reminder, there's some daytime baseball today. Brewers versus the Orioles. Pregame starts at 11:35 on stations across the Civic Media Radio Network. All right, now we're in a commercial break. Some of the stations break away, and the rest of us will continue on. So how long is that? I'm still getting used to the new commercial breaks here. 2.5 minutes. This break is, Devin. So I'll tuck you back in the waiting room, and we'll chat for a few minutes more after that.
Great. Thanks, Pat.
Right. Thanks. Coming up in a half hour, we'll talk to James Kelly about some of the stories he's working on for civic media stations in western and northwest Wisconsin. Tomorrow, we'll talk to Joe Zepecki, and on Friday, William Garcia, also candidates for state party chair, and we will continue our conversation with Devin Remiker in just a sec. Also tomorrow, Michelle Velasquez of Planned Parenthood Advocates of Wisconsin will join us. And one more note here. How'd you like to get some free tickets to see the Milwaukee Brewers play at American Family Field? To do that, you just have to be listening to your favorite civic media shows on Fridays throughout the baseball season. Listen for keywords throughout the day, and then text in the keyword for a chance to win a 4-pack of Brewers tickets, club-level seats. Complete contest rules can be found over at the Civic Media website. Let's continue our conversation now with Devin Remiker, candidate for state party chair. And while I know, Devin, you've hit on a lot of these themes already, I think Tony writing on YouTube gives me a good opportunity to let you kind of put a lot of what I've asked you about in your own words in terms of one overarching view. And from Tony, it says, what is your vision? Why should I be excited about Devin Remiker leading the Democratic Party of Wisconsin?
Great question, Tony. Thank you. So ultimately, my vision is about how we evolve the party to its next iteration. And I think each cycle we learn something. It is a learning experience in wins and in losses. And I sort of think about, when I look at the long view of what the party's been able to do, starting a lot of our work with year-round organizing under Chair Lanning and built upon by Chair Wickler, really taking everything we do to new heights. And we now have an organization that both organizes year-round, supports candidates up and down the ballot, no matter how tough their districts are. We have to figure out how we sort of push to that next level. And I think that the way that we're going to do that is by making sure that we are allocating our resources to expand our program and open new programmatic tracks that can really make a huge difference. How do we sort of get 80% of the return on 20% of the investment? And when I look at sort of our county party structure and our party structure, I think that is a place where we have the most room to grow. I think part of the reason why, as Democrats, we have sometimes struggled to reach people is that even if we're knocking on doors and we're doing it year round, there's something that just feels inherently a little transactional about someone kind of asking you questions, taking notes. I think that we need to expand into more of a holistic community presence all around this state. And quite frankly, we need to rebuild trust with voters that have lost faith in the Democratic Party. And a lot of that comes down to sort of national trends and national campaigns that we don't have full control over here in Wisconsin. But I think we all have to do our part and make sure that we are showing up, listening to folks, and that they can see themselves and believe in the Democratic Party again. And I think this year is going to be a lot of putting in that work, rebuilding trust so that we can lock arms and march forward in 2026. Because ultimately, to me, this comes down to making sure that we can win a trifecta and actually deliver a real policy change for the people of Wisconsin that's going to improve their lives and put to bed the era of Republican obstruction that we have had for over a decade here in Wisconsin.
Yeah. So in terms of what are you building toward, I think that word trifecta probably captures it as well as anything else we could say, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's really what it's about. I mean, I think that winning's great. I've helped to win a lot of elections in Wisconsin since 2018 and onward, and even before that in my other roles. But ultimately, winning isn't the measure of our work. The measure of our work is being able to pass policies that improve people's lives. That's why we're all in this fight. And that has to be our North Star.
Yeah. I mean, again, as somebody who was there the last time there was a trifecta, and it was only for 2 years, 2009 and 2010. And then along came the Tea Party and everything else as a result of it. Most importantly, the Great Recession, which, was the seeds were planted long before that. So there was only so much a Democratic trifecta could do. And yet we see, from a national standpoint, the first 2 years of the Clinton administration, the first 2 years of the Obama administration, the first 2 years of the Biden administration, you see tremendous progress that can be made when Democrats are given that trifecta, whether in Washington or Madison. So, I mean, party organization is nice, finances are nice, but it really does come back to that trifecta. That is kind of the metric for anybody running for DPW chair, I guess, is the way I'd put it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's why I'm honored to have the support of Leaders Neubauer and Leader Hesselbein for my chair campaign, because they believe I am the candidate that can help them win that trifecta. And this is just, I think, finally having fair maps, finally having a political environment where it really feels like people are waking up to the Trump administration and what the Republican agenda has been for the working class in this country and in this state. I really think this is a unique opportunity, but we don't have time to waste. Just like you said, Pat, who knows what the future holds? So if all we have is 2 years, we have to make the most of it, and we have to take the shot while we have it. And I think that's 2026. We have to win big and send a message across this country, just like we did on April 1st by electing Susan Crawford to the Supreme Court. We can be a beacon for the entire country.
And that was the last thing I wanted to close on, was the note that appeals court judge Chris Taylor announced that she is going to be running for state Supreme Court next year against far-right Justice Rebecca Bradley. Again, it's a nonpartisan election, but increasingly these are nonpartisan in name only. Chris Taylor is a former Democratic legislator. I would imagine, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but there are a whole lot of Democrats that are thrilled that Judge Taylor has announced for this race.
Count me as one of them. I haven't heard of any other progressive candidates looking to hop into this. So looking forward to working hopefully with Chris Taylor next year to support her in her Supreme Court bid. And I think that ultimately, Rebecca Bradley, far right is almost an understatement. She is by far the most radical Supreme Court justice on the bench and for the conservatives. And she is, I think, someone that we absolutely have to take down. Democrats cannot rest on their laurels. We have to expand that majority. She is just, completely toxic.
And so look for that big race with Chris Taylor, and whether any other candidates get in, still many months to go. Devin Remiker, candidate for Wisdom's chair. Devin, good to connect with you again. Thank you so much. Safe travels.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it, Pat.
You bet. All right, coming up next, Melissa Baldoff. First, a reminder, sign up for our newsletters at upnorthnewswi.com, live from Lake Wissota. What a great place to spend part of your mornings. This is the Civic Media Radio Network, and I'm Pat Kreitlow. All right, there we go. We got the break. Let's move this over here. There's Melissa. How's Melissa doing today?
Good. How about you?
I am good. Boy, I wanted to send you something, but I didn't want to ring your text thing too early here. Where did I see it? Emily Atkin runs a newsletter called Heated. Here it is. And it's all about, the headline is Trump's big oily bill that could raise household energy costs as much as 7%. So let me put that in the text to you finally. So we have something else in front of us here. All right. How's everything else?
Oh, it's good. How about you?
Still getting acclimated here,
Yeah.
But it's fine. Trying to think if I have any other notes to put in front of me right now for this, but I don't think so. So I think we're in good shape. All right. I will be back your way in 4 minutes. See you in a bit.
All right.
Time to do our weekly climate check with Melissa Baldoff. And this time around, we're going to talk about Donald Trump would love to call it his big, beautiful budget bill. But as one energy newsletter put it, Trump's big oily bill, the anti-clean energy provisions in Trump's budget bill could raise household energy costs by as much as 7%. Melissa Baldoff, hello. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'd be a whole lot better if this is not what we were dealing with. But, such is life that we've got this, so-called big, beautiful bill that's going to cause, as Forbes is reporting, $1 trillion in economic damage from the House reconciliation bill.
And the funny thing is, and not funny, of course, but that it's so not necessary the way that climate has been politicized rather than, an existential human crisis, a crisis for the planet, but also as an opportunity to create all of these new jobs and all of these new industries. And I'm still looking for anything based in facts or science that would give rationale to what this Trump agenda looks like right now. And I still don't have an answer other than if this is what big oil companies want, then I guess that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the only answer here, that this is just, a blatant and corrupt giveaway to, billionaires and polluters. It's great for them, right? Good news for them, bad news for everyone else in this bill, because there's really no other explanation for it. These are people who ran on a promise to lower costs for the American people. And, on everything across the board, we are seeing much higher prices. And, when it comes to energy costs, this is just one example. This plan to repeal clean energy tax credits is going to send energy prices through the roof. It's going to, according to analysis, this bill would raise electricity prices for American families by more than $110 a year. This is going to put about 400,000 good paying jobs at risk. And most of those jobs are actually in Republican districts. This is real people and real families, real households that are impacted by these decisions. And quite frankly, these Republicans know it. And the rank and file folks, they know how unpopular this is. And, I have to imagine that's part of why they're doing some of these things and making these votes in the middle of the night, because they don't want the light of day on some of these decisions that they're making.
No, which is why we talk about them as often as we do. And some of it is just flat out grifting. The bill would also allow gas pipeline developers to pay a $10 million fee to bypass the normal permitting process. It would allow fossil fuel companies to pay the Department of Energy a $1 million fee to determine that a proposed methane gas export facility is, quote, in the public interest. Or as written up by the climate group Evergreen Action, this makes a farce of our permitting process and essentially legalizes corruption with a pay-to-play privilege for gas pipelines, and that Americans will be severely impacted by gas pipelines being built through their communities. Again, it seems like such a gimme question, Melissa, but there's a reason why we have a, quote, normal permitting process for these kinds of things.
Exactly. There's a reason why we have a process for things, and it is to ensure that there is fairness. There is, there are standards that are followed. That there are quality controls, that communities that are impacted have an opportunity to engage in the process. But as with most things, we know that that Trump and his administration, they value they value influence and money more than any of those things. So whether it's, allowing polluters to, just buy in to, you know, a, a pipeline facility, or whether it's allowing people to just buy into our immigration system, they don't want to follow normal rules when it comes to their friends and someone they think might be able to enrich them.
It's I mean, Tony puts it up on YouTube so well. Finally, Republicans can be corrupt in public and not have to hide it anymore. I mean, that again, putting on your political strategist hat here is just the time I never thought we'd live in, where, well, if you do your corruption right out there in the open, people will say, well, it must not be corrupt if he's doing it right out there in the open. But it is still what it is. It's still, legalized bribery.
Exactly. It's just, it really is stunning to watch every single day, the things that are really being normalized by Trump and this administration. And it is all the more important that we continue to talk about it like we do here and like so many others are, and talking about it, because we cannot ever let it become normal. We can't let it become the standard. We can't let people believe that just because they are doing it out in the open, that it is okay, that it is something that is what we want this country to be, and to be representative of who we are as Americans, because it is counter to everything that this country was founded on and that we believe.
Let's bring things a little closer to home here, because we are about to put up an op-ed on our website, upnorthnewswi.com, by John Imes, co-founder and director of the Wisconsin Environmental Initiative. And it's all about, again, in this opinion column, saying the Wisconsin Public Service Commission should reject the proposal to build a new methane gas plant in Oak Creek near Milwaukee, and also in the Kenosha County town of Paris. Melissa, this is something we've talked about previously, the debate over what you would call a transitional energy source, where you're not burning big piles of coal, but you're also not moving all the way into solar, wind, battery storage, and things like that. And that in proposing instead a methane gas plant, I think we talked not only about these earlier, but also up in the Duluth Superior area, where, I mean, these are real community debates about whether this is a proper transition getting away from coal, or if you wait and go the rest of the way.
Yeah, these are definitely really important debates that that people are having. We know that the methane gas is still a pollutant, and it is something that is harmful to the community, and it is something that it is not going to be a clean source of energy. But on the other hand, we also know that that these are good paying jobs. So that's something that that are created by these facilities. So I think that's something that there is that debate in a lot of communities about, hey, there's we need energy and we need production. We want it to be cleaner. And we need these jobs. So I know that there's that conversation in a lot of communities, but the thing I take issue with is the natural gas branding, because it is still a pollutant. It is still an unhealthy fuel source that is dangerous to our communities. It might be a little cleaner, but it is not a source of clean energy.
Yeah, we're really getting into the I don't say the definition of but that really is where this falls. And like you said, complicating it, and I think that's a fair word, complicating, is that you have unions and other groups that are pushing for the construction of these gas plants because they do create the construction jobs. But again, it's a matter of what exactly are we constructing? What exactly are we building for these jobs? And so that's why we're going to continue following what the Public Service Commission is doing on this. And again, that particular op-ed will be showing up on our website very soon here. And along with that, Melissa, is a note in the column and something else that we've talked about, and that's data centers. And these massive data centers like Microsoft and Google and Meta, and Microsoft has announced, a data center in Mount Pleasant, but then they've already announced pausing the construction to reassess their energy needs. Again, in terms of any debate about the climate and what we build and what those new jobs are for, has to keep in mind something that I know we've talked about before, but for folks that might not be aware, when you talk about these data centers, there's a reason they're always being built near large supplies of fresh water. You need that for the cooling of these things, and that's what leads to the debate about those, right?
Yes, absolutely. We know that they are a big drain on resources, and I would also just say that there's something else that I think that people should keep in mind when it comes to the reports about there's all this need for these data centers. We keep hearing about the need for all these data centers, but then we keep also hearing about these projects being abandoned. And obviously we know we need more capacity in our grid. We know we need more. But at the same time, we need, I think, to have a more comprehensive and strategic planning process in states across the country to know exactly what the right mix of our energy streams is, and not be, so reliant on the energy companies to tell us what that is, because they are going to be incentivized to tell, to say, hey, whatever's the most profitable for us and our shareholders is the right mix. So I think we need a very comprehensive planning process at the state level to be able to understand, what's the right mix, what are the needs, because we know that the data centers are a huge drain on our natural resources. And we also know that a number of these projects across the country continue to be, scrapped. And, that's just something to really keep in mind, is as we approach any new large scale energy project, who is this really benefiting? And, what is the right mix for the people of Wisconsin? Because from my perspective, we need to really focus on Wisconsin made energy, so that more people and more communities are controlling their energy future and have that energy sovereignty.
Melissa Boldoff with our climate check. As always, Melissa, thanks for catching up. We'll do it again next week.
Sounds good.
All right. Coming up tomorrow on the program, of course, we will be talking to Joe Zepecki, a candidate for State Democratic Party chair. And then on Friday, we will talk to William Garcia from the La Crosse area, also running for a state party chair. And also tomorrow, Michelle Velasquez of Planned Parenthood Advocates of Wisconsin will be along. And one more reminder, you've got matinee baseball today starting at 11:35 on stations across the Civic Media Radio Network. I'm Pat Kreitlow reminding you it's about every one of these words in our national promise: liberty and justice for all. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. All right, there's Mr. Kelly. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's see here. I got to get your list. There we go. Anything else there before I forget?
I don't think so since last night.
Yep. Okay. Just wanted to make sure here. There we go. Got that. Okay. All right. Are you doing anything for Memorial Day weekend?
I probably am not. I actually took a couple days off last week. Spent the weekend in Madison, which was nice. It's the first time I really got to visit Madison and walk around.
Oh, okay. Nice. Let's see. And then do you have any other big things planned for the summer like that? Any getaways?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that you're aware of.
Yeah. I used all my PTO last year on weddings and stuff, family,
Yeah.
friends, all that. So now this year I don't have as many. I'm like, I don't know what to do with all these days off now.
They are a gift. Don't lose them.
Yeah. Got to use them somewhere.
Don't give them back. Yep. All right. Let's see. Oops. There we go. Let's see. We're back at 5220. Dom, Sam, Parker, any other notes from you before we wrap things up today?
Any other what? Sorry.
Any other notes? Any questions? Any problems?
I don't think
Everything
so.
smoothly? Okay, good.
Yeah, pretty well.
Okay, good. Thank you, guys. All right, we'll get going in just over a minute here. Thirty seconds. All right, a little bit earlier, we talked to Earl Ingram about some of the stories he's putting together for civic media stations in the southeastern part of the state. Now we flip it over to the northwestern corner where James Kelly is hanging out at Civic Media's Chippewa Falls newsroom to tell us more about the stories he's working over here in western Wisconsin. James, how are you?
I'm good now that you're back, Pat. I missed you last week.
Thank you. That was very nice of you. Well, you took a little time off as well, right?
Yeah, visited Madison for the first time since I actually moved to Wisconsin. I did stop by on my way out here just to pick up all the equipment and whatnot, but I didn't really get a chance to really walk around the city. It's nice. I like it.
Oh, yeah, very much so. Did you have a favorite place that either you saw or that you want to come back to and explore a bit more?
You know, the area right around the Capitol is actually a lot nicer than I thought it would be, just because, in New York, it's in Albany, and it's not exactly in the nicest of neighborhoods.
Yeah, yep. I
So
recall
it was nice to walk around the Capitol area here.
Yeah, I recall that from St. Paul as well. But this was many, many years ago. But yeah, Madison, the Capitol Square is just a gorgeous place to be. So Memorial Day weekend, I know that Todd Alba's talking about being up here doing a show from Lake Wissota on Friday, if the weather would allow for it, and if I get the pontoon in by then. So don't let me forget that I'm going to need somebody else on the pontoon come Friday to be Mr. Alba's assistant, make sure that there's always something in the can cozy. So
oh yeah, keep the sunscreen rolling. I'm Irish, I get it.
Yeah, exactly. Our 60-degree sunshine, it'll burn you. I understand. So hopefully we have good luck with the pontoon, and we don't have the kind of boat luck that other people have had. A lot of focus on that abandoned boat in Milwaukee that finally got towed away, about 10 days ago or so. But it turns out there's also been an abandoned boat on the St. Croix that's been there a lot longer, and it's finally an eyesore no more.
Yeah, since July, the Sweet Destiny, a large yacht, I believe 54 feet. It's been there since July. I guess it got beached on Beer Can Island. And the owner of the boat has been working to kind of patch it up and just get it ready enough to be towed away. The county informed him that they might be levying some new fines for abandoning the boat starting, I believe last week was when those new fines would have started. So finally got it patched up, finally got it off the water, and now there's an eyesore off the river.
Yeah. I mean, again, if something went wrong with my boat, I would like to think that I would take care of that in short order. It just seems very alien to me that these folks in both these places have these very large boats and didn't move with lightning speed, to recoup their, the value of this thing that they're losing day by day. But eventually this is one of those things where you really have to bring down the law, I guess, to entice some people to clean up their mess. Let's look at Douglas County up in the Superior area, where the governor is looking to designate Douglas County as a historically underutilized business zone. What is that all about?
Yeah, so the historically underutilized business zone, or hub zone as it's called for short, would essentially give businesses in the area the ability to bid on set-aside contracts at a federal level, kind of an effort to maybe open up some new economic opportunities and economic growth with the upcoming Blatnick Bridge reconstruction project still planned. That's going to be a significant project on a significant transportation corridor in the region. So there's definitely going to be some economic hardships that local businesses go through, even, before this request for the designation as a hub zone from the U.S. Small Business Administration. There are community groups up in Superior popping up saying, if you're moving locations, if you find yourself with not as much foot traffic because of construction, reach out to us. We'll make sure people know you're still open, you're still operating, just looking for ways to keep businesses in the area going.
Okay. And in the Eau Claire area, Sojourner House comes up when we talk about affordable housing, homelessness, things like that. And there'd been a funding scare for that facility. How are things looking there right now?
Yeah, so the city of Eau Claire agreed to contribute $40,000 to keep that facility open through the summer this week. Earlier this year, the Catholic Charities decided we might have to maybe only operate this 6 months out of the year. As you know, Pat, the homeless situation in Eau Claire has gotten significantly worse over the last couple of years, especially with more people from out of the area being brought in. And quite frankly, there's not a whole lot you can do here besides build new housing because there's a pretty low vacancy rate already. So there's not a lot of available housing units as it is. You can't really just lower prices and expect people to be able to afford them if there's no housing to lower the price on.
Well, exactly. And I would add parenthetically and editorially, when you say people being brought into Eau Claire and contributing to the homeless population, in cases they're being brought in by law enforcement in some of these other counties who are quite literally dumping them in Eau Claire. And I know the Attorney General has a lot of other things to work on, but boy, that seems to me the kind of thing that should be getting more attention because folks in the city of Eau Claire understand this is not necessarily a problem of their making.
Yeah, that is something that the city did reach out to the Attorney General about, and they kind of accused these other municipalities of bringing these people in without knowledge of where they were going or against their will. Those law enforcement agencies denied that and said, we knew where they were going, and we knew that we did not have the resources to sustain, them here, to support them. So they agreed to go to Eau Claire, but even still, it's a large problem that's only going to get worse as housing prices continue to increase year after year.
Yeah, exactly. And then finally, quickly, Eau Claire got its first installment money of PFAS settlement money from 3M.
Yeah, so it's about $1.68 million of a total of 9.4. And among other settlements, they're expecting to get about 12 in total. That doesn't quite cover the full cost of the PFAS removal facility that's being built at the water treatment plant right now. But even still, any money is good money in this case.
Well,
still waiting on that 125.
I was going to say, especially if the legislature's still sitting on their hands on that one. James Kelly, Civic Media Newsroom up in Chippewa Falls. Thank you, sir. Talk to you a little later on. All right. And tomorrow again on the program, Joe Zepecki and Michelle Velasquez from Planned Parenthood Advocates of Wisconsin. My thanks to today's guest, State Representative Christian Phelps, Devin Remaker, Melissa Kay, Melissa Baldoff, and to you for being here this morning. I'm Pat Kreitlow, founding editor of Up North News, the Wisconsin digital outlet for Courier, a pro-democracy news network. Have a great Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow morning here up north. All right, there we go. There goes the